Chapter 2185. You guys can't do it. The strength of the Blood Heaven seal was unimaginable. Wave after wave of collisions landed on the Curse, Tao, Divine altar every time. Young Master Curse's expression instantly turned ugly as he consumed a lot of energy. Fortunately, it was not an ordinary treasure. Otherwise, he would have long been smashed into a pile of scrap metal. Even so, he still could not endure it. Even though young Master Curse's face was ugly, he wanted to get his hands on this giant treasure. Young Master Curse wasn't the only one with an ugly expression. The others all had similar expressions. As Lin Fei attacked, he activated Endless Devour to plunder everything. Those who surrounded him were in trouble. Unless they were much stronger, they would all be devoured. Pieces of human skin fell off. Blood, flesh, and other life essences were all plundered. All that was left was a piece of human skin. Everyone felt their scalps go numb. This indigenous Di Tian was unbelievably cruel. Saint Chen Hao and young Master Curse quickly put down their grudges and attacked Di Tian together. Indigenous Di Tian, let me fight you too. In the air, another black figure appeared. His aura was exceptionally strong. A long saber slashed through the air. The saber light was like a torrent, surging and surging, containing endless tyrannical saber intent. The divine saber manners elder is here. On the Blood Heaven seal, Lin Fei didn't even frown. He continued to attack the Curse Tao God altar. He also activated his invincible defense, ignoring the tyrannical saber light behind him. Young Master Curse's treasure is really extraordinary. My Blood Heaven seal is made from 2 top-grade treasures. Even though its quality can't reach its former glory, it's still a giant-level existence. The world of the 33 sacred heavens isn't as simple as I thought. Lin Fei didn't know how many times he had attacked. However, the opponent's Curse Tao God altar wasn't an ordinary treasure either. Lin Fei was confident that he could shatter the opponent's Curse Tao God altar and obtain young Master Curse's blood essence. What an arrogant Di Tian! He actually withstood divine saber manners' tyrannical saber intent. Chen Hao's eyes flashed coldly. Could it be that this treasure has an invincible defense? Chen Hao kept guessing at its profundities. His fists didn't stop, raising supreme fist intent. Each punch could destroy a world. Pum! Another strike landed on the Curse Tao Divine altar. Young Master Curse's face sank. He was crying bitterly in his heart. Damnable Di Tian, damnable native. There are so many of them. Why are you only attacking this young master? This isn't fair. Young Master Curse stubbornly held on to the Curse Tao God altar. Curse flames burned the heavens, and a destructive aura pervaded the air. However, he was still able to block the attacks of the opponent's treasures. Although it looked fine on the surface, it was actually starting to suffer damage. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Young Master Curse took out a pill and swallowed more than half of it in one gulp, turning it into heaven's will energy. His curse attacks didn't stop, but he couldn't stop the boundlessly ferocious attacks. Every strike consumed a terrifying amount of heaven's mandate energy. Young Master Cursed also realized how difficult it was to deal with the other party. This native was even more terrifying than he had imagined. No wonder he could control a sealed world. Di Tian, you are very powerful. This young master still has something to do today. I won't spar with you. Young Master Curse made a feint and controlled the Curse Tao God altar to leave. You want to leave? I won't allow it. Lin Fei hollered. The blood sky seal once again smashed onto the Curse Tao God altar. Aren't you very amazing? Continue being amazing. How could Lin Fei not know that the other party couldn't continue to exhaust him? The blood sky seal plundered all energy. It was tyrannical and terrifying. The energy it converted was enough to support an attack. However, the other party wasn't so lucky. On the Curse Tao God altar, young Master Curse's body shook. This is the time. A flaw finally appeared in the cursed Tao God altar's defense. Open! Lin Fei squinted his eyes and used his hand to wield his blade. Space teleportation was activated. He suddenly appeared in front of the cursed Tao God altar and slashed at this flaw. This was the position that the system had calculated. Gotcha! The defense collapsed. Lin Fei's attacks were all for this flaw to appear so that he could seize a drop of essence blood from young Master Curse. The moment the defense collapsed, young Master Curse was shocked. Lin Fei punched over. His strength was pushed to the limit as it heavily landed on young Master Curse's body. Curse Tao! Curse robe protection! The black fog on the cursed Tao God altar transformed into incantations. They jumped in the air and formed a robe filled with incantations. An ancient aura also spread out. When Lin Fei's punch landed on young Master Curse's body, the densely packed incantations shattered. It actually blocked all the power of this attack. Even he himself was shocked. Curse Tao Seal! Young Master Curse laughed sinisterly. You actually dared to barge in. This time no one can save you. 18 clones attack. Lin Fei's first attack failed. His second punch blasted out. The 18 clones also charged out. They had long prepared their attacks. They turned into a terrifying aura of destruction that blasted on young Master Curse. Bang! The blood sky seal followed up. More than half of the curse robe on young Master Curse's body was destroyed. His defense was greatly reduced. The 18 clones took the opportunity to attack. 18 attacks blasted on young Master Curse's body, destroying most of the runes on the curse robe. Cough, cough, cough! Young Master Curse finally vomited blood. The key was that the blood sky seal followed up. In addition, his defense was not fully activated. This gave young Master Curse a chance to attack. Lin Fei grabbed with his hand, and young Master Curse's blood droplets landed on his hand. Thank you. Voila! Lin Fei left the cursed Tao God altar. When he appeared again, he was in the Invincible Palace. Young Master Curse stared. A thought popped up in his mind. Could it be that he kept attacking me for the essence blood? This was definitely something that he could not accept. Saint Chun Hao and some other geniuses also stared with their eyes wide open. Tian left too quickly. They couldn't help but have different thoughts. What's going on? Damn it, I don't have the mood to continue fighting with you guys. Lin Fei returned to the Invincible Palace. He started nagging in his heart. Who would be willing to waste their destiny points? Did they really think that he was a fool? Analyze young Master Curse's essence, blood for me. Lin Fei was very jealous of such a long-range attack with attribute support. If he could clone it, it would be like a magic army. Discovered essence blood. Initiating analysis. I've seen many geniuses and many famous people. But this Tian, this is the first time I feel like I can't see through him. The demonic rainbow frowned and shook her head. White Knight had a strange look on his face. He couldn't guess what this indigenous Tian was trying to do. I only know one thing. The more outstanding Tian's performance is, the faster his death will come. White Knight smiled. It's a pity that I didn't make a move just now. Now I have the urge to make a move. That's rare. The demonic rainbow knew that this young Master White Knight was a famous battle maniac in the world of the 33 sacred heavens. He just didn't have such thoughts about ordinary people. She didn't expect to meet someone worthy of making a move here. If a battle maniac like you makes a move, Tian won't have it easy. Ha 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 ha. Chapter 2186. P.S. I'm finally married. Updates will resume today. Roar, roar. Everyone was confused by Tian's actions. What was Tian trying to do? Young Master Curse coughed out blood as he stared at the Invincible Palace. At the same time, he took out a large number of elixirs and swallowed them. As for Tian's ridiculous idea of taking his blood essence, he had long suppressed it. Ladies and gentlemen, D. Tian is just a country bumpkin. He owns a magnate-grade treasure and doesn't respect us at all. This is unacceptable. I'm willing to join hands with all of you to blast open the gates of the invincible palace. Is everyone willing? Young Master Curse was also a smart person. After suffering a loss once, he immediately had an idea. Everyone had clearly seen the battle between Lin Fei and young Master Curse. They had witnessed the dominance of a magnate-level treasure. They already had the idea of taking it for themselves. Everyone agreed with young Master Curse's suggestion. With young Master Curse taking the lead, we are naturally willing. Di Tian is a native of the sealed world. How can he possess the treasure? The treasure should belong to us. We are willing. It had to be said that young Master Curse was very capable. With just a few words, he had convinced everyone. Saint Chin Hao, are you interested in trying together? Saint Chin Hao was the son of the Master of Sacred Sky. Although he was unhappy with young Master Curse's overbearing attitude, he knew that Di Tian was not easy to deal with. How can I reject young Master Curse's invitation? Saint Chen Hao laughed. Let's compete to see who can capture Di Tian first. With two prodigies taking the lead, the rest did not have any other thoughts and joined in. Where's Miss Heavenly Demon? Young Master Curse turned his head again, not at all embarrassed about losing. A small sealed world actually produced such a prodigy. I am very interested to try too. The Heavenly Demon, Nick Hang, smiled. Miss Heavenly Demon has joined in. How can I not? Bai Yi also smiled. Once everyone joined forces, they could not be underestimated. Curse Tao Great Seal. Young Master Curse wanted to avenge his previous humiliation. The Great Seal of the Curse Tao surrounded the invincible palace from top to bottom. I have already used a secret technique to completely seal the energy of heaven and earth. Everyone attack together, and we can break through the defense of invincible palace. Young Master Curse shouted, and the black fog on the Curse Tao divine altar surged. Disciples of the 10,000 Swords Villa, attack with me. Once the Great Seal sealed the entire invincible palace, the elders of the 10,000 Swords Mountain Villa immediately responded. He led the disciples to attack one of the positions. Sacred Fist Technique. Saint Child Chin Hao bellowed. His aura rose to a peak, and a flickering phantom of a Jingguang appeared behind him. The phantom was majestic and invincible, and it couldn't be seen clearly. As soon as this phantom appeared, everyone revealed a look of dread. What a saint, Chin Hao! I can't believe he's cultivated the holiness fist art to such a level. He's already condensed the shadow of the Lord of the Holiness. With the help of this shadow, his fist art has reached a terrifying level. No wonder he was able to stand out among all the saints and occupy a spot. He cannot be underestimated. Bai Yi narrowed his eyes as a strange expression appeared on his face. He could not help but exclaim. Saint Chin Hao was quite pleased with himself. There were many prodigies present, and in terms of status, they were not inferior to him. He had used his most powerful saintly fist technique right from the start, suppressing everyone and taking the lead. A mere invincible palace. Break! Boom, boom, boom. The three streaks of light shot out in a wide and open manner. The huge invincible palace began to tremble unknowingly. The saintly fist technique had reached such a terrifying level. What a group of prodigies! Their battle prowess is not to be underestimated. Lin Fei could not help but sigh, especially young Master Cursed, who had been attacked by the 18 doppelgangers. His injuries were not light, and he had recovered in such a short time. This young Master Cursed had become even more extraordinary. This is Miss Heavenly Demon Nick Hang. She actually came in. In the sky above the invincible palace, the Heavenly Demon Nick Hang stepped forward and entered the invincible palace. Your defense is not bad, but in front of the Sky Demon Palace's Sky Demon Dance, it is still full of flaws. The heavenly demon Nichan's eyes wandered, and she laughed delicately. Ditian, I'm here. The heavenly demon Nikhang laughed delicately and went straight for one of the positions. The disciples of the Invincible Palace did not make a move. In front of such a powerful cultivator, it was useless to block. Whoosh! The heavenly demon Nichan's mysterious footwork broke through layers of space, came to the depths of the Invincible Palace, and saw Ditian sitting on the throne. What a great successor of the heavenly demonic palace. This ability is really shocking. No wonder everyone says that none of the disciples of the heavenly demonic palace are simple. Lin Fei said proudly, "Today, I've finally seen it for myself." The heavenly demon, Nikhang, laughed lightly. "Thank you for your praise, Taoist Ditian. If you say too much, I will become arrogant. Actually, I would like to experience Taoist Ditian skills. Young Master Cursed is an elite among the prodigies, but he also suffered a loss in your hands. I am just a weak woman. Please show mercy." As the last word fell, the heavenly demon, Nikhang, moved, flicked her jade-like hand, and the heavenly demon finger attacked. The heavenly demon finger was a cultivation technique of the Sky Demon Palace. The seemingly weak finger actually contained a domineering power. The heavenly demon raiment also began to dance. Her movements were graceful, and she created many afterimages. This was the other ultimate technique of the heavenly demon palace, heavenly demon dance. It was specially used to charm the enemy, and they fell for it unknowingly. Lin Fei sat on the throne, his mind slightly rippling, and immediately recovered. Heavenly demon dance is indeed powerful. I unknowingly fell for it. The heavenly demon Nichan's jade-like finger was in front of him, almost touching the center of his eyebrows. Killing intent exploded, and the temperature of the entire space suddenly dropped. This was another auxiliary effect of the heavenly demon finger. Girls, it is better to learn embroidery. Fighting and killing are not suitable for you. Facing this finger, Lin Fei laughed, two fingers clamped up, clamping on the heavenly demon Nichan's jade-like finger. The explosive power was suppressed. If you want to kill me with this strength, it is still too late. This little girl still feels that this is suitable for me. The heavenly demon, Nikhang, laughed again. No need for you to worry. The jade-like finger was clamped. The heavenly demon, Nikhang, did not panic. The power of the heavenly demon burst out, and an even thicker jade-like finger shot over, its power not decreasing, as if it wanted to force Lin Fei to let go. I feel that you are not bad. Why not be my personal maid? Lin Fei borrowed the momentum. The huge force attacked, and his entire body was stuck to the heavenly demon Nikhang, forcibly crashing into the heavenly demon Nichan's bosom. With a single hand, the heavenly demon Nikhang fell into Lin Fei's embrace. Your figure is really not bad. I am quite satisfied. Lin Fei took a deep breath, beaming. The heavenly demon Nichan's beautiful eyes revealed killing intent. Then I will have to ask you if you have the ability. In reality, in her heart, the heavenly demon Nikhang had killing intent towards this frivolous Ditian. She was one of the candidates for the Holy Maiden of the Sky Demon Palace. When did she let a man get close to her? Chapter 2187. Facing Ditian's teasing, the heavenly fiend Rainbow was completely enraged. Although it was infuriated, there wasn't much anger on the Sky Demon Raymond's body. Instead, it was replaced by boundless killing intent. The killing intent was released along with the Sky Demon art. The surrounding temperature became cold, and this cold was formed by the killing intent. The demonic Rainbow had never seen such a shameless person before. In the world of the 33 holy heavens, the influence of the heavenly devil palace resounded throughout the entire world of the 33 holy heavens. No one had ever dared to say such things to her, but Ditian had. Demonic finger, demonic dance, the heavenly devil raiment changed its attack methods several times. but it was still unable to leave a mark on the opponent's body. There was a formless energy on Di Tian's body that blocked the attacks of the Sky Devil Raiment. He couldn't find a way to break through it, and he ended up expending a large amount of energy. This Di Tian is quite mysterious. To be able to cultivate such a defense, no wonder he dares to fight against all the geniuses. The Heavenly Devil, Rainbow, pointed out again. You fell for it. The Sky Demon Raiment changed its position, and a Sky Demon blade appeared in its hand. A cold light flashed, and it slashed towards the other party's neck. The Sky Demon blade was a magnate-grade treasure. Once the Sky Devil blade appeared, the Sky Devil Raiment became extremely confident. No matter how good Di Tian's defense was, it would be impossible for him to block the sharpness of the Sky Devil blade. It would definitely leave an injury, and at that time, it would be able to break through Di Tian's undefeatable defense. In terms of strength, the Sky Devil Raiment was much stronger than Di Tian. It was only Di Tian's undefeatable defense that could not be broken. This was the first time it had encountered such a defense. You have a magnate-level treasure, but so do I. Lin Fei didn't dodge or evade. The blood sky seal pressed down, and the blood mist whistled. The Heavenly Devil Raiment naturally wouldn't take it head-on. She knew how powerful this treasure was, so she helplessly retracted her attack. I have to admit, it's not easy for you to have such achievements in the sealed world. The demonic Rainbow held the demonic blade in her hand. However, he was unable to leave a single wound on the other party's body. This was the first time the Heavenly Devil Rainbow had encountered someone that had no idea where to start. Beautiful lady, praising me like this, I'm embarrassed. Lin Fei said with a smile, standing with his hands behind his back. If you don't have any other abilities, I'm going to make a move. The Sky Devil Raiment didn't think much of it. No matter how powerful Di Tian was, there was still a gap between him and her in terms of strength. She was not afraid because she was from the Heavenly Devil Palace. I really want to see how powerful fellow Taoist Di Tian is. Me too. Just as the demonic Rainbow finished speaking, a stream of light rushed in. It was Bai Yi dressed in white, and this young master. In an instant, a few more people appeared in the palace. All of them were geniuses, and all of them were battle emperors. Lin Fei did not think that he could block them out. It would be enough if he could block most of them out. As for these geniuses, they would definitely have some special methods. Entering the Invincible Palace was not a difficult task. He knew this better than anyone else. These few Heaven's Prides were the strongest people here. At the same time, their backgrounds were shocking. They could be said to be extremely talented people. Their combined strength was naturally not to be underestimated. Lin Fei was overjoyed. Since the few of you were able to barge in from the outside, you must have some pretty good treasures on you. If I like them, hand them over obediently. Lin Fei waved his hand. The saber intent on the left spread out and sliced the void open. It was the clone Dao slave. The Dao slave, dressed in black armor, had a ferocious look on his face. His saber intent soared into the sky. If there was only one of them, it might not be a big deal. However, there were too many of them. When they gathered together, it was enough to make one's scalp go numb. On the other side, there was the sword slave. He was also ferocious. He carried a long sword on his back, and his sword intent soared into the sky. He was not inferior to the Dao slave at the side. Now that he had gathered together, it was quite a terrifying scene. The Dao slave and the sword slave appeared on the left and right respectively. The expressions of the geniuses on the opposite side changed. These ferocious-looking Dao slaves and sword slaves were all battle emperors. At the same time, they were also the strongest swordsmen and swordsmen in combat. They were the most difficult opponents to deal with. This is my gift to all of you. Enjoy it. Lin Fei sat on the throne again. Kill. The Dao slave pulled out his long sword. The saber intent exploded and covered the sky. The entire Invincible Palace was covered in the saber intent, especially when it had reached the Battle Emperor level. Swish, swish, swish. 50,000 Dao slaves attacked at the same time. What a scene it was. Damn it. Why are the saber techniques of these swordsmen so similar to those of the divine saber manner? Young Master Curse cast a curse technique and put on the curse Dao divine robe. His eyes revealed a trace of disbelief. The saber techniques of the divine saber manner. Could they have colluded with Di Tian? Yes, that must be it. They did not have time to think. They each took out their treasures to block the domineering saber intent. 50,000 Dao slaves. How terrifying was that? Crush. Any attack would not be able to block the attack of the Dao slaves. Although they were geniuses, they had no choice but to go all out against so many Dao slaves. They did not hide any of their ultimate techniques. Kill! The sword slaves shouted in unison. They also joined the battle with a terrifying sword intent. The few geniuses felt a headache coming on. 50,000 Dao slaves and 50,000 sword slaves. They really could not block them. The most terrifying thing was that the Dao slaves and sword slaves were using extremely powerful saber and sword techniques. At the same time, they were not afraid of death. They did not dare to be surrounded. Be careful. This is the Myriad Swords Manor's sword technique. The Sky Devil robe stepped on the Sky Devil dance. The Sky Devil blades turned into streaks of afterimages that landed on the Dao slaves and sword slaves. They were unable to block the attacks. The clone Dao slaves and sword slaves are indeed not just for show. Now, I just need to clone a batch of cursed Dao slaves. With their cooperation, I can attack from both inside and outside. Whatever Bulsh *T Dao slaves are going to be eliminated. The more Lin Fei watched, the more satisfied he was. He had forced the few geniuses into a dangerous situation. They did not have Lin Fei's invincible defense. At the same time, they had a large number of destiny points to spend. It was reasonable for them to be in a dangerous situation. My gift is not bad, right? You are the first to enjoy it. Ordinary people do not have this kind of treatment. Lin Fei looked at the wind and clouds with a smile. The Dao slaves and sword slaves surrounded the battle circle. The number of enemies they killed was not very high. Di Tian, you actually joined forces with the Divine Saber Manor and the Myriad Swords Manor. Everyone has underestimated you. Bai Yi was also quite surprised. The pressure of 100,000 enemies was very taxing on him. His treasured clothes were left with many scars, which would normally not appear. The cannon fodder that he had exchanged godheads for was too different from the Dao slaves and sword slaves. It was like heaven and earth. There was no comparison. I am in a good mood today. If you don't want to die, it is better for you to surrender. In the entire palace, the power of space and time shrouded the heads of the geniuses, limiting their speed. Dense Dao slaves and sword chi attacked. I am willing to surrender. I am willing to surrender. Chapter 2188. Invincible Palace. None of the powerhouses had expected Di Tian to have another trick up his sleeve. He had secretly colluded with the Divine Knife Sect and the 10,000 Swords Villa. There are too many people from Di Tian. I can't hold them back anymore. I'll retreat first. Young Master Curse was very unwilling, but he couldn't handle so many people. Even the Curse Dao God Alter couldn't handle it. If he didn't leave now, he wouldn't have another chance. Curse Gate open. Now that young Master Curse couldn't hang on to his teammates, he decided to retreat first. A black door opened, and young Master Curse pushed away the sword and saber slaves before diving in. Lin Fei had never thought of killing off these heavens' favorites with powerful backgrounds. After all, these fellows all had treasures in their hands. It wouldn't be difficult for them to escape from the encirclement. Miss Heavenly Demon, let's go. This was the first time White Knight had met such an opponent. Even though the 10,000 Swords Villa and the Divine Saber Gate weren't top-tier forces, they weren't forces that could be underestimated. Dition's capabilities weren't simple to be able to hide this from everyone. All right. The demonic rainbow also had a headache. Dition had hidden himself too deeply, and she had almost fallen for his trap. Young Master By called out, and the demonic blade brought out streaks of silver light, sending more than 10 enemies flying. Eternal divine boat! Bai Yi released a battleship, and they boarded it one after another. The battleship erupted with boundless might, smashing the enemies into pieces. There's no need to chase. From young Master Curse's departure to Bai Ye's breaking out of the encirclement, all happened in the blink of an eye. Lin Fei waved his hand, and the saber slave and the sword slave stopped. However, the sword and saber intents on their bodies continued to soar into the sky, continuously slicing the void and forming a land of death. This curse worship is also a giant treasure. I won't be so lucky next time. Lin Fei secretly held back against these disciples with powerful backgrounds. Unless it was absolutely necessary, Lin Fei didn't want to go against those veteran forces for the time being. You may have left, but the people outside won't be so lucky. Lin Fei's eyes flashed coldly. He had to kill a portion of them to intimidate the rest. Outside the invincible palace, the defense formed by the Black Tower was still not something that could be broken by everyone, apart from a limited number of prodigies who used secret techniques to enter. The rest could only resort to violence. After young Master Curse killed his way in, everyone was full of confidence. As long as they killed or captured Dition alive, their defenses were nothing to be afraid of. It's opening. Haha, great. The Invincible Palace's defenses have been breached. Suddenly, someone exclaimed. So the defense was gone. Shio, shio, shio! Before they could celebrate for too long, a sword was shot over and hit the forehead of a combat emperor. His eyes were wide open as he fell from the sky. In an instant, everyone's scalp went numb. The sword intent and the saber intent continued to attack, covering the sky and covering the earth. The entire world seemed to have darkened. Pu. The densely packed attacks had become a nightmare for the combat emperors present. No matter what power it was, no one was able to withstand the continuous attacks. Damn it! Why are there so many experts in the Invincible Palace? A 7-star combat emperor said sternly. The long sword in his hand danced in an airtight manner, and his expression became extraordinarily serious. Before anyone appeared, everyone felt an endless sense of danger shrouding them. This was definitely not normal. The first wave of sword intent and saber intent severely injured the group of people at the front. One by one, the combat emperors were shot dead on the spot. At this moment, at the place closest to the Invincible Palace, there was no one. They're out. Everyone was on guard, their eyes fixed on the Invincible Palace. Hua, hua, hua! Sounds of breaking air could be heard. Everyone saw figures appearing in the sky above the Invincible Palace. All of them were ferocious, with sharp sword intent and saber intent. How is this possible? How can a small invincible palace have such domineering sword intent and saber intent? This must be fake. Everyone was completely unable to remain calm. The densely packed black figures emitted an imposing aura. Even the 10-star battle emperors felt a chill run down their spines. Isn't this the sword intent of the 10,000 Swords Villa? Suddenly, someone cried out involuntarily. Yes, it's the sword intent of the 10,000 Swords Villa. Back then, I fought with the people of the 10,000 Swords Villa. They had the same sword intent. It's definitely the same. And this saber intent, it's obviously from the godly knife sect. There were constant exclamations of shock. At the same time, angry gazes were shot at the elders of the 10,000 Swords Villa and the godly knife sect. The leader of the 10,000 Swords Villa was at a loss and couldn't speak. This. The elder of the Godly Knife sect had the same expression as the elder of the 10,000 Swords Villa. Why would the saber intent of our Godly Knife sect appear here? Moreover, all of them are of the same realm. This is unbelievable. The most unacceptable thing was that the number of combat emperors in the entire Godly Knife sect and the 10,000 Swords Villa couldn't be compared to the number of people in front of them. Listen to our explanation. These aren't people from the 10,000 Swords Villa. There must be a mistake. Seeing the angry gazes of everyone, the elder of the 10,000 Swords Villa quickly explained. If this was true, the 10,000 Swords Villa wouldn't be able to clear their name even if they jumped into the Yellow River. At this moment, everyone couldn't believe it. If there was only one person, it would still be fine. However, the auras they sensed clearly belonged to the sword and saber intents of the 10,000 Swords Villa and the Godly Knife sect. How could this be fake? 10,000 Swords Villa, Godly Knife sect. Thank you for attracting them here. Now leave the rest to me. Lin Fei appeared in front of everyone, surrounded by the saber slaves and the sword slaves. Di Tian, you are talking nonsense. The elder of the 10,000 Swords Villa spat out a mouthful of blood on the spot. The rest of the people's expressions changed. You are slandering us. You are just a small country bumpkin. You are nothing in the 10,000-year villa. Lin Fei smiled and said, How dare you besiege my sleeping quarters? Kill without mercy. Explanation. Lin Fei wouldn't bother to explain himself. I am slandering you all. The moment the saber slaves and the sword slaves attacked, they used the saber art and sword art of the two great forces. Everyone's eyes were filled with anger. A saber slave rushed to the front of a combat emperor and slashed at his body. The combat emperor forcefully resisted the attack, and a few sword slaves took advantage of the situation and killed the combat emperor. 50,000 sword slaves and saber slaves. How terrifying was that? In this sealed world, they were like a meat grinder. No matter how many of them came, they would be killed. Lin Fei needed them to increase his strength so that he could break through the combat emperor realm and become a powerhouse. Elder, our 10,000 Swords Villa is finished. The disciples of the 10,000 Swords Villa were dumbfounded. Even the heavens chosen at this moment didn't know what to say. Those gazes of death were not something that could be ignored by anyone. The hatred and resentment in those gazes were deeply etched into their hearts. It wasn't something that could be erased so easily. The black mass of saber slaves and sword slaves didn't attack them. In fact, they didn't have the intention to attack. Each of them was a 9-star combat Emperor Realm expert. At the same time, they weren't afraid of death. How terrifying was that? They saw with their own eyes that a saber slave didn't retreat even half a step when half of his body was destroyed. Instead, he charged forward and severely injured his opponent. After witnessing this scene, they didn't have the confidence to attack. Chapter 2189. The sword and saber slaves had inherited the saber and sword techniques of the 10,000 Swords Villa and the Godly Blade sect. Their battle prowess was extraordinary, and at the same time they were combat emperors. When they attacked together, their aura was shocking, like the autumn wind sweeping away the fallen leaves. Sword intent and saber intent filled the air. Coupled with the fearlessness of the sword and saber slaves, the combat emperors fell one after another. Those low-level combat emperors who came out to see the world were instantly turned into beehives by the sword intent and saber intent. Run. We can't hold them anymore. 10,000 Swords Villa and Godly Blade sect betrayed us. The murderous experts of the 33 sacred heavens were swept away by Lin Fei's subordinates in less than a moment. Almost none of the combat emperors could withstand the attacks. Only Lin Fei could use such a brutal method of attack. Cloned subordinates could do it. They were more death warriors than death warriors, without any changes in their thinking. Human wave tactics are really terrifying. Lin Fei sighed. From the start to the end, Lin Fei did not make a move. After a battle, Lin Fei's sword and saber slaves were less than 5% lost. No one was willing to be entangled with such a fearless method of attack. It would mean death. In order to clone 50,000 sword and saber slaves, I plundered a large amount of ores and materials. Finally, it was worth it. When the cursed slaves are cloned, almost no one will be able to leave. Lin Fei observed. The sword and saber slaves were strong, but they still had some flaws. The cursed slaves would form a special support, and their lethality would increase. Tian, what are you trying to do to us? 10,000 Swords Villa's elder, Wan Sheng, tried his best to suppress his anger. Today's matter could not be washed clean even if he jumped into the Yellow River. Right now, he wanted to know what Tian wanted to do to them. Yes, you slandered us, and killed the forces of the 33 sacred heavens. They will flatten your invincible palace sooner or later. Godly Blade Sect's elder, Dao Wufeng, said coldly. Right now, the ones who hated Tian the most were the two elders in front of him. When this matter spread back to the 33 sacred heavens, it would be hard for them to defend themselves. That was the sword will and blade will that belonged to the 10,000 Swords Villa and the Godly Knife faction. They were the real deal. Aside from them, no one else could master them. They would never know that Lin Fei had a system in his hands. Through a drop of blood analysis, the clone was exactly the same, and no one could see through the mystery behind it. Keeping you here was actually for the sake of acting. Now I can send you to hell. Lin Fei couldn't be bothered to waste his breath and snapped his fingers. The saber intent and sword intent that filled the sky blasted towards the people from the 10,000 Swords Mountain Villa and the Godly Saber faction. Without any struggle, these people were all killed in the blink of an eye. Even if there were peak-level War Emperor rankers among them, they would not be able to withstand the familiar attack method. The increase in power is too little. Lin Fei shook his head. After becoming a 10-star combat queen, the increase in strength began to decrease. Although he had killed over 1,000 experts, the increase in strength he had obtained was still not enough to satisfy Lin Fei. For others, this little bit of strength was enough to make them laugh. I believe they won't come after killing such a huge wave of enemies. I can also clone a batch of curse mages first. In front of the invincible palace, the news of the heavy casualties of the various forces spread. The demonic rainbow opened a screen in the sky and reported the news to a phantom. Master, the situation is like this. We were caught off guard. The 10,000 Swords Villa and the Godly Knife faction have collaborated with Tian. All of us have underestimated this Tian. After the demonic rainbow left, it first sent the news back. This was a huge matter. The 10,000 Swords Villa and the Godly Knife faction were not top forces, but with their strong attack power, they were very popular in the 33 sacred heavens. But who would have thought that Tian, who was in the sealed world, would secretly collude with these two forces? What was even more terrifying was that the 10,000 Swords Villa and the Godly Knife faction had hidden themselves deeper than expected. In that case, we have really underestimated this Tian and the 10,000 Swords Villa and the Godly Knife faction. They want to snatch the biggest share of the origin fruit this time. The phantom's voice was emotionless, as if it was above the mortal world. Master, then what should I do? You don't have to do anything for now. The 10,000 Swords Villa and the Godly Knife faction actually plotted against our demonic palace. Master will definitely avenge you. Moreover, the two forces have hidden themselves so deeply. I believe that the other forces will not allow them to rise to the next level. The demonic rainbow was not satisfied. But I am not satisfied. The demonic rainbow, who had always been competitive, really could not accept that it had suffered a loss at the hands of an aboriginal. Wait a few days. This young man, Tian, has shown off his abilities. The other forces will definitely see him as their number one competitor. At that time, someone will naturally come out to suppress him. Young Master Curse by Yi, Chen Hao, and other prodigies all sent the news back. This concerned the situation in the 33 sacred heavens, and this aboriginal Detian had once again displayed terrifying strength, becoming the strongest opponent in the fight for the origin fruit. The tens of thousands of sword and saber slaves were definitely a force that could not be ignored, and if they wanted to send experts down from above, without a certain number, they would definitely not be able to contend with Detian's people. At the same time, they bore a grudge against the 10,000 Swords Villa and the Godly Knife faction. They were now certain that the two forces were working with Detian. No wonder the news had spread so quickly. Perhaps the two forces had secretly manipulated it. After the 33 sacred heavens received the news, they all sucked in a breath of cold air. The 10,000 Swords Villa and the divine Saber Gate, which did not seem to be very threatening on the surface, had actually secretly cultivated such a group of experts. Who knew how many more experts they had in their sects? This was very displeasing. In particular, the two masters of the sacred sky of the 10,000 Swords Villa and the Godly Knife faction were both infuriated. Who would want to have two more ticking time bombs in their control? If they could work with Detian, who knew if they would have any thoughts about their own forces? They had to be taught a lesson. The two masters of the sacred sky met secretly to discuss how to teach the 10,000 Swords Villa and the Godly Knife faction a lesson. The other forces that had been destroyed in the Invincible Palace also placed their hatred on the 10,000 Swords Villa and the Godly Knife faction. If not for them, would their people have died? What kind of trouble could a mere aboriginal like Detian cause? Among them, the biggest culprits were these two forces. When the 10,000 Swords Villa and the Godly Knife faction received the news, the master of the sacred sky personally paid them a visit and demanded that the two sects confess and be lenient. The two sects were dumbfounded. Someone recorded the saber intent and sword intent at the scene, including the sword techniques and saber techniques of the two sections. They were exactly the same, causing people to insist that the two sects were the ones who did it. Chapter 2190. The two masters of the sacred sky personally came to the 10,000 Swords Mountain Villa and the Godly Knife sect. This was definitely a big deal. The 10,000 Swords Villa and the Godly Knife sect did not receive the news. After all, even the master of the sagely sky was dissatisfied. Who would dare to inform them? The two forces were being suppressed by the Lord of the sacred sky. The 10,000 Swords Mountain Villa and the Godly Knife sect were dumbfounded. Many of their experts were killed on the spot. No one wanted to have an uncontrollable force under their command. The scariest thing was that the 10,000 Swords Mountain Villa and the Divine Knife sect had such strength in secret. If he didn't know, he wouldn't even know when his lower part would be flipped over. This is unforgivable. The arrival of the two masters of the Elysium had resulted in the deaths of many experts from the two superpowers. Even the sect leader was heavily injured by the master of the Elysium. Colluding with Detian, a native of the lower realm, is unforgivable. With just one sentence, the Lord of the Sacred Sky had pushed the blame onto the two sect masters. The master of the Sacred Sky was a powerful figure. The patriarchs of the two factions had no choice but to show themselves. However, they were no match for the Lord of Holliski's strength. After a fierce battle, they were completely defeated, and their patriarchs were injured. Since they won, it was naturally time to split the spoils. The 10,000 Swords Mountain Villa and the Divine Blade sect were so angry that they spat out blood, especially after hearing the news. They cried out that they were innocent, but in front of the evidence they were speechless, not knowing how to explain themselves. It was hard to explain. The saber art and the sword art were the secrets of the two factions. Only those with a certain status could learn them. How could outsiders learn them? The two grandmasters wanted to cry, but no tears came out. Even their old master did not know how to explain this. It was obvious that the Lord of the Sacred Sky wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to take a bite out of the two forces. At the same time, the disciples of the forces that were killed also vented their anger on the 10,000 Swords Mountain Villa and the Godly Knife Sect. These forces might not be afraid in a one-on-one fight, but once they joined forces, that was definitely a powerful force that could not be ignored. Even they would not be able to withstand it. Under the threat of the Lord of the Sacred Sky, he had to explain what was going on. Otherwise, they would be surrounded and attacked. The Lord of the Sacred Sky would definitely not interfere and would allow them to attack. This was the same as placing them on the stage and placing them in a dead end. Helpless, after the 10,000 Swords Villa and the Godly Saber Sect suffered great losses. They could only compromise. Invincible Palace. Lin Fei did not know that the 10,000 Swords Villa and the Godly Knife Sect were being suppressed by the Master of the Sagely Heaven, who was a powerhouse. Invincible Palace quietened down after a round of cleaning. The prodigy had also disappeared without a trace. Lin Fei wasn't interested in where they were going as long as they didn't come up to harass him for the time being. In fact, after the Dao slaves and sword slaves were dispatched, the various factions stopped their actions and did not dare to act recklessly. The Dao slaves and sword slaves were extremely powerful. Once trapped, it would be a nightmare. Success. Under Lin Fei's anticipation, the Curse Mage was finally born. The first batch of Spellcaster was cloned. Lin Fei felt that the word wizard sounded better than slave, so he changed his name to Wizard of Incantations, which sounded more superior. The materials are too little. 5,000 Curse Mages, if used well, can be a deterrent. 5,000 Spellcasters. This was the first batch that Lin Fei had cloned. Initially, he thought that cloning a Curse Mage wouldn't require too many materials. Later, he found out that it was much more deceptive than cloning a Dao slave or sword slave. Apart from the large amount of materials, the mysterious energy was also 3 times that of the Dao slave. Let me try the Curse Mage's attack. Lin Fei pointed at one of the Curse Mages. Although without young master curses, Curse God Alter, the power of the curse was limited. However, it was not something that an ordinary combat emperor could withstand. Curse Mage Numb. Curse Mage, Great Prophecy Technique. Curse Mage, Weak. The curse cast by the Curse Mage was almost the same as the one cast by young Master Curse. The only difference was the power. Lin Fei was very satisfied with this result. To be able to clone such a perfect Curse Mage, Lin Fei had to thank young Master Curse. If it was an ordinary Curse Mage, they would not have mastered many Curse Mage attacks. However, young Master Curse was different. His status was different, and he had mastered many Curse Mage attacks. This time, Lin Fei was lucky. Alright, now that the first batch of Curse Mages has been cloned, with the help of the Curse Mage and the powerful Dao Slave and Sword Slave, I should head to the Mountain God Emperor. Lin Fei squinted his eyes. There was a large amount of power waiting for him to reap. Mountain God Emperor. This place was now occupied by various forces. After the various forces suffered losses, no one went to the profound sky world. Now, no one knew what Dition's trump card was. Dition is a shameless bastard. He caused our Myriad Swords Villa and Divine Blade Sect to become the target of everyone at a remote location in Mountain God Emperor. The disciples of Myriad Swords Villa and Divine Blade Sect gathered together and scolded. Whenever Dition was mentioned, their resentment would soar and their killing intent would be revealed. Ever since Dition killed all the forces that surrounded them, once the news reached the Mountain God Emperor, Myriad Swords Villa and Divine Blade Sect were immediately besieged. It was their fault for not being able to explain the origins of those combat emperors. More than half of the disciples of Myriad Swords Villa and Divine Blade Sect were killed on the spot. The remaining ones fled in panic and hid in all directions. We can't continue to hide. Everyone, we have to think of a way. An elder of myriad swords, Villa said with a frown. The remaining 4 elders all had a trace of exhaustion between their brows. Being chased here and there with their lives hanging by a thread was not an easy task. This is all because of that Dtion, an elder of the godly Sabergate said sternly with a lot of resentment in his tone. If I see him, I'll torture him until he's hovering between life and death. I'll teach him the methods of the godly Sabergate. Now, they only knew that Dtion had set them up and turned them into stray dogs. Those people were complimenting them before, but who would have thought that they would attack them from all directions? Is that so? As you wish. Suddenly a cold voice was heard. From the void, a man in black appeared and swaggered in front of them. Everyone be careful. He is Dtion. The remaining people stood up and stared at him angrily. Everyone knew that they had become stray dogs because of Dtion, and they had almost died in the pursuit of Hoyuhao. Dtion, come and die. The elder of the divine blade Sek's eyes flickered coldly. He took out a black long saber and swung it. A saber radiance swept towards Lin Fei's family. It was the hand-swing saber of the divine blade sect. Why are you so angry? You need to calm down. Lin Fei shook his head. The muscular elder of the divine blade sect screamed in pain. His entire body was set ablaze. In an instant, not even his bones were left. This is the curse fire. Impossible. Chapter 2191. This time, Lin Fei did not come to the mountain god emperor alone. He brought an army with him. With the system, it was effortless for Lin Fei to find people in the mountain god emperor. It could be said that everything was under Lin Fei's control. Curse fire, this is the curse fire. The elders of the 10,000 Swords Villa and the godly Sabergate were terrified. The curse fire was something that could only be mastered after one had cultivated the curse down to a certain level. At the same time, it was extremely difficult to defend against. Those who were hit by it would die for sure. Rumor had it that a magnate could kill a magnate of the same level. They had no idea how the curse fire landed on them. This kind of unknown death was unbearable. In a short period of time, fear filled the air. If you don't want to die, shut up. I don't mind killing all of you. Lin Fei laughed. As soon as the curse fire appeared, they lost the will to fight back. Who could defend against the curse fire? Even the 3 combat emperors were helpless. They were afraid that the curse fire would land on them and cause them to follow in the footsteps of their opponent. That's the way. Lin Fei was shocked. The curse fire attack of a dozen spellmasters was able to kill an elder without anyone noticing. This was too cruel. The sword slaves and saber slaves were powerful, but compared to the spellmasters, the difference was huge. The attack of the spellmasters was even more unpredictable. Lin Fei used the system to analyze the attack and came to a conclusion. The attack of the curse fire was another way of using energy. It was more unpredictable. It was impossible to defend against. Dtion, what are you trying to do? An elder of the 10,000 Swords Villa asked. As long as one was not an idiot, they could tell that this Dtion was very mysterious. He might even be working with someone else. This was too scary. It's nothing much. I just need something recently. I heard that the 10,000 Swords Villa and the godly Sabergate are powerful forces with deep foundations. I don't think I would mind using something to exchange for you. What do you think? If Lin Fei could kill them, it couldn't be any easier. However, the benefits were too little. Right now, Lin Fei lacked all sorts of resources to create his own army. There were plenty of resources in the immortal world. However, this was only temporary. Lin Fei had to accumulate strength for himself, and the best way to do so was to plunder from others. Limiting himself to his own territory was not a long-term solution. Lin Fei knew this better than anyone else. Plundering resources was the most suitable method. The 10,000 Swords Villa and the Godly Knife faction were undoubtedly good choices. That's impossible. The 10,000 Swords Villa elder shouted angrily, "This is extortion!" Bang! As soon as he finished speaking, the elder's body was also engulfed by the cursed fire, and he instantly lost all signs of life. I don't want to say it a second time. Send the news back now. Lin Fei wasn't willing to give them time to consider. If you don't pass it on, all of you will die. 2 elders had died consecutively, both of whom were emperor rankers. The rest of the people lost their temper and looked at Lin Fei with even more fear. We are willing. We are willing, don't kill us. He resolved the issue between the 10,000 Swords Villa and the Godly Knife Gate. Lin Fei placed his gaze on the other powers, with the elders of the 10,000 Swords Villa and the Godly Knife faction here. Lin Fei could begin the next step. For example, capturing people in a valley within the mountain of God Emperor. That native is too shameless. He plundered the entire mountain of God Emperor, causing us to come here for nothing. He plundered everything. I really can't accept this. Of course, when I came down, it was to plunder the prophets. Rumor has it that the mountain of God Emperor space is a fragment of the essence of the Nishti savage world, which contains a large amount of treasures, even the treasures of heaven and earth. But now, this place has become barren. It's all that Dition's fault. How can a native be so powerful? In the valley, a few young people dressed in brocade clothes gathered together. They were all disciples from several forces, and their statuses were not low. This time, they could only watch helplessly. They could only curse Dition for not being a good person. Now, they knew that Dition was not to be trifled with. Even if he was a genius, he would return in failure. Even if they were capable, they would not dare to find trouble with Dition. It's not good to speak ill of me behind my back. A cold voice enveloped the valley. Who? There were more than 100 people in the valley, and all of them were furious. Their background was not something that ordinary people could go against. Hua, hua, hua! Flames shot out from the bodies of the disciples in the valley, and in an instant they turned into flaming people and disappeared from this world. Curse fire, this is curse fire. You people from the cursed Tao Sacred Palace. How dare you? Do you know who we are? Stop it. Experts died one after another. In a short period of time, there were only 10 young people left in the valley, and their eyes were filled with fear. Lord, this is Feng Yunsha. The one in yellow is Nan Gong Shao. His father is a half-step magnate expert. And this is the deputy sect leader of a first-rate sect. He has great authority. At this moment, a fluctuation came from the void, and Lin Fei quietly appeared with 2 elders standing beside him. They were the elders from the 10,000 Swords Villa and the Godly Blade sect. The elders from the 10,000 Swords Villa and the Godly Blade sect had helpless expressions on their faces. If they did not want to live, they would not be willing to help Dition by pointing out the direct descendants of the major forces. Great, the 10,000 Swords Villa and the Godly Blade sect are indeed not good people. Someone recognized the 2 at a glance. After all, they were one of the leaders this time. Who did not know them? Long-winded. That person let out a blood-curdling scream. His body was green, and large pieces of flesh were corroded, revealing his white bones. It was a tragic sight, and he died in despair and pain. Instantly it became quiet. You should know who I am. Now, you only need to do one thing. Of course, you can choose not to do it. The choice is in your hands. Of course, the outcome of not doing it is death. Lin Fei said indifferently, the God Emperor Mountain is beautiful, and it is the most suitable place for you to be buried. Who knows, after hundreds or thousands of years, you might have a chance to be resurrected. Everyone felt a chill run down their spine. Just now, they had seen someone die in front of them, and they did not have the confidence to defend against Dition. Lin Fei gestured to the 2 elders, and the 2 elders had sullen expressions. They passed the list to them and briefly explained the situation. Everyone's faces were filled with anger. This was robbery. You can choose not to do it, and I will send you to hell immediately." Everyone shuddered again. "My father is a half-step magnate, and you dare to rob and extort? You are courting death." A stubborn person glared at Di Tian and brought out his background. Lin Fei was very simple with these idiots. He would kill them all and turn them into a part of his strength. Threat? Chapter 2192. The World of the 33 Sacred Heavens. The Thousand Swords Villa and the Godly Blade faction received a message from their elders. After seeing the message, his face darkened on the spot. The other elders also had the same expression. "Shameless bastard. Ancestor, please let us go down and kill this shameless bastard." The Thousand Swords Villa and the Godly Blade faction had just been suppressed by the Master of the Sacred Sky and suffered great losses. If they had not paid a huge price, the entire sect would have been massacred. His hatred for Di Tian was so deep that he couldn't even fill up his 5 lakes and 4 seas. Now they were extorting him. This was clearly bullying. The current sect master was also filled with hatred. An indifferent native had caused their Myriad Swords mountain villa to suffer a great loss. He wanted nothing more than to cut him into 8 pieces to vent the anger in his heart. The elders looked at Ancestor, Thousand Swords. He was the strongest ancestor of the Thousand Swords Villa and also their strongest trump card. Like Ancestor Divine Blade of the Godly Blade faction, he was also a half-step magnate and was very close to the final step. Half-step magnate was powerful, but there was still a gap between them and a magnate. For example, the right to speak. It was the difference between heaven and earth. "You're all muddle-headed." Ancestor Thousand Swords harumphed and glanced at everyone. "It's not suitable for the Thousand Swords Villa to make any more enemies. It's just some materials. So what if we give them to him? Furthermore, can you deal with Di Tian in the Mountain God Emperor? Don't forget the tens of thousands of sword slaves and saber slaves around him." All the elders fell silent. "Tomorrow I will go into seclusion to become a magnate. Before I come out, the Thousand Swords Villa will not receive any guests." On this day, Ancestor Divine Blade went into seclusion. The next day, Ancestor Divine Blade went into seclusion too, in the Mountain God Emperor. With the guidance of a specialist, Lin Fei captured the disciples of the major forces. As for having no background, I'm sorry, you'll have to provide me with a portion of your strength. 50,000 sword slaves and 50,000 saber slaves passed by. A black torrent crushed everything in its path. Lin Fei made up for the loss of the saber slave and the sword slave, making up the numbers again. Now he had another 100,000 combat emperor slaves. The spell master was another trump card. In the space of Mount God Emperor, there were enough saber slaves and sword slaves for the time being. Once they appeared, they were successful in every endeavor. The world of sword intent and the world of sword intent formed by light. This was enough to make people feel unprecedented terror. Lin Fei caught more and more people. They extorted large amounts of resources according to the size of their forces. The God Emperor Mountain's forces were thoroughly enraged, especially after the news spread. Preposterous! That Di Tian is clearly looking down on us. We haven't gone to look for him, but he has come to act violently. We can't let this go. If outsiders see this, they will really think that we are afraid of him. Thousands of people were gathered on one of the peaks of Mount God Emperor. Dozens of people clustered around one person. It could be seen that these people were not ordinary people. Young Master Cursed was the one who shouted the most fiercely. Back then, young Master Curse wanted to show off, but in the end he suffered a crushing defeat. He hated Di Tian very much, and once he heard that he had come, he bewitched the geniuses present. There were also some old acquaintances on the mountain peak. For example, the demonic Raymond. For example, Lord White Knight. For example, Chun Hao. There were quite a few other geniuses as well. Those who could stand here were all geniuses of the same level, and they all had strong backgrounds and forces behind them. The crowd did not have much of a reaction to young Master Curse's words. Young Master Curse, it's your problem that you suffered in the hands of Tion. Don't drag us down with you. Someone on the opposite side retorted. Now, who doesn't know that Tion is ruthless? He has a group of saber slaves and a group of sword slaves by his side. Whoever dares to go will die. Young Master Curse was used to being arrogant. Naturally, there were some people who were unhappy. Han Fei was one of them. He was also the son of a half-step giant. At the same time, he was also a powerful genius. He brought over 30 experts from his clan with him, and he was very confident in the space of Mount God Emperor. That's right. Why should we listen to you? Anyway, we have no enmity with Tion. He won't look for us. Many people chimed in. Young Master Curse's face turned gloomy and a cold light flickered. He thought to himself, a bunch of idiots. I will kill all of you sooner or later. Humph, a bunch of cowards. Young Master Curse mocked them. I don't think you can say that. Chen Hao also had a lot of resentment towards Tion. His father was the master of sacred heaven, but he was forced to retreat by a native. This was simply a humiliation. Tion isn't a simple native. He is a native who has obtained a great opportunity. He even has a great treasure in his hands. Now he even has a sword slave and saber slave. All of them are comparable to 9 stars combat emperors. Who knows what other trump cards that native Tion has? If Tion obtains the origin fruit and advances to the realm of a giant, us geniuses will have to live under his shadow in the future. Are you all willing to do that? One had to admit that Chen Hao still had some prestige. As one of the geniuses present here, they didn't wish for anyone to stand above them. It was already so difficult to deal with someone who wasn't a giant. Moreover, they couldn't think of any way to deal with Tion when they advanced to the realm of a giant. I also feel that this Tion must be eliminated. We can't let him live. Otherwise, he will definitely become a strong enemy for us geniuses. The demonic Nick Hang also chimed in with a cold expression. Chen Hao's words weren't a threat. In the future, things would really develop in this direction, so they had to be careful. I also agree with Child Chin. Miss Demonic and Child Chin are both right. We have to work together to deal with Tion. There's strength in numbers. A few of the sons of the Lord of Holiness agreed. None of the sons of the Lord of Holiness's sons were easy to deal with. They all knew to work together to deal with Tion. Child Curse was powerful, but he still ran away in panic. We still have a lot of people now. We have to work together with others. Chen Hao invisibly gained prestige. As the initiator, he received everyone's support. Everyone, there's no need to work together. I'm coming. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. All of a sudden, a storm of sword will and a storm of saber will crushed towards the crowd. Oh no, Tion is here. The thousands of people who gathered all took out their treasures to protect themselves. The storm of sword will and the storm of saber were extremely domineering. As soon as they came crashing down, the sky darkened, and all they could see was a black torrent. Swords and sabers were everywhere, turning the crowd into beehives. Corpses were everywhere, and there were countless casualties. Before they even worked together, only about a third of the thousands of people were left. Lin Fei, surrounded by a group of sword and saber slaves, watched coldly from the side. Chapter 2193. A total of 100,000 war emperors came crashing down like a torrent. There were more than 1,000 experts gathered at the scene. In the first round of attacks, there were heavy casualties. A wave of sword intent and blade intent had killed at least 100 experts, and the number of casualties was still rising. In the face of the black torrent, they were simply too weak. Apart from a limited number of prodigies, no one else could withstand such an attack. Everyone, come to me. Let's activate our treasures together and block Tion's attack. Bai Yi had suffered a small loss last time, so he was still shocked when he saw the sword slaves and saber slaves again. Especially in terms of numbers, they were exactly the same as last time. It was definitely uncomfortable. Among the prodigies, Bai Yi had a strong background and a certain amount of prestige. Dozens of figures flew over. Bai Yi waved his hand and took out a battleship. The battleship was pitch black and gave off a terrifying aura. Although it wasn't as powerful as the Blood Heaven seal, it wasn't too far off. This was a treasure of a pseudo-magnate. Great! This is young Master Bai's eternal warship. With the eternal warship, we'll be able to block the attacks and even kill Di Tian's subordinates. Everyone was delighted to see the warship. Bai Yi was a member of the Eternal God Palace, a force that had existed for a long time. No one knew exactly how strong it was, but it was known that there were several giant experts guarding it. The power of the Eternal Divine Palace was unimaginable. The Eternal Warship was one of the most famous treasures of the Eternal Divine Art. It possessed a powerful defense and combat strength. A single Eternal Warship was enough to crush a Battle Emperor. Even a 10-star Battle Emperor would have to be wary of it. Everyone boarded the warship. At this moment, no one had any objections. After boarding the warship, they followed White Knight's instructions and placed their energy into the Eternal Warship. The huge Eternal Warship shone brightly. It was like a blazing sun. The saber slaves and sword slaves that surrounded Jiangqin were shot to death by the splendor as soon as they got close and they fell from the sky. What a great warship! Its quality has actually reached the level of a pseudo-giant treasure, and the power it emits has also reached such a level. This White Knight has a mysterious background. Lin Fei narrowed his eyes. He had underestimated the foundation of the geniuses. This was definitely something that could only be taken out by those inherited forces with deep foundations. Di Tian, you want to kill us all in one go, but you're still one step behind. Yes, we're not that easy to bully. As long as you kneel down and hand over all your treasures, we will spare your worthless life. The Eternal Warship displayed its might, killing hundreds of saber slaves and sword slaves. All the outstanding talents saw hope. He shouted angrily at Di Tian. Bai Yi was not as optimistic as them. His eyes were flickering, and no one knew what he was thinking. No one has the right to take my life, not even you Skype rides. Lin Fei shook his head and laughed. It's just a warship. If I want it to be destroyed, it will be destroyed. Lin Fei strode over. The Blood Heaven seal descended from the sky, and a faint blood color spread out. With a loud bang, it landed on the Eternal Warship. This Emperor wants to see how long you can last. It's merely a treasure of a giant. You don't have the qualifications to act fiercely before this Emperor. The Blood Heaven seal came with a fierce momentum. The bodies of the people on the Eternal Warship shook violently, and their blood chi surged. Those who were slightly weaker began to vomit blood. Bang! 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 Lin Fei was like a supreme emperor. With the Blood Heaven seal in his hand, he unleashed the most domineering attack. Every time he attacked, the Eternal Warship would flip up and down, and cracks would appear on the body of the warship. The people on the Eternal Warship were also struggling. Not good. The Blood Heaven seal was indestructible. After landing on the Eternal Warship again, Bai Yi cursed inwardly. The Eternal Warship's defense began to show flaws under the relentless and tyrannical attacks. It was broken in one go. The saber slaves and sword slaves charged in with covetous eyes. Dozens of saber slaves attacked Bai Yi. Bai Yi's expression turned grave. A bright armor appeared on his body, and he released his aura to send his enemies flying. Time slow. Lin Fei executed time slow. It enveloped the heads of the outstanding talents. Spatial compression. The Eternal Warship became a battlefield. Countless saber slaves and sword slaves charged in, forcing the outstanding talents to retreat. Although Lin Fei's time slow and spatial compression couldn't suppress them completely, It could at least affect them by 20 to 30%. Curse Tao, great prophecy. After young Master Curse suffered a loss previously, he still couldn't accept it. He looked for an opportunity and launched another attack when the other party was unprepared. It was a fatal attack. Lin Fei had long since disregarded this. The system's mysterious energy could completely disintegrate such attacks. It could be said that no matter how many such attacks came, they would all be disintegrated. After cloning the Cursed Tao Mage, the system analyzed the Cursed Tao attacks and studied them in detail. The mysterious Cursed Tao in the eyes of others was nothing in Lin Fei's eyes. You know the great prophecy, so do I. After the system finished analyzing the Cursed Tao, it wasn't impossible for Lin Fei to execute it. Boasting shamelessly, young Master Curse sneered. The Cursed Tao was a peak existence that had disappeared for an era. Now, only a few people grasped it, and no one else had the chance to see it. Watch carefully then. Lin Fei allowed the great prophecy to land on him. Great prophecy. Lin Fei's voice became especially sacred. It was different from the way young Master Curse cast it. It was simpler. Go. Young Master Curse originally wanted to mock him. How could a native like him learn the Cursed Tao of their Curse Palace? He was too presumptuous. The other prodigies split a trace of their divine sense to pay attention to the movements here. They also didn't believe that Di Tian knew the Cursed Tao. The moment the mystic seal appeared, the sneer on young Master Curse's face suddenly disappeared. His pupils constricted, and from his feet up, half of his body instantly turned into nothingness. Cough, cough, cough. This Cursed Tao, impossible. Young Master Curse wanted to say why Di Tian's great prophecy was more terrifying than his, and he didn't even know when he was hit. The prodigies on the eternal worship, who were still fighting, were all dumbfounded. This was because they saw young Master Curse's body turn into nothingness under the corrosion of the great prophecy. He disappeared in front of them without even a moment of support. Is young Master Curse dead? Doubt, confusion, all kinds of emotions could be seen on everyone's faces. F***CK, the strengthened version of the great prophecy, is so powerful. He killed young Master Curse with a curse? Lin Fei looked at the strength bonus. Indeed, it was more than usual. System, you're really awesome. What Lin Fei had cast previously was the strengthened version, which was the most suitable to be used. He underestimated its power and killed young Master Curse with a curse. This was too domineering. Lin Fei originally thought that it would be good if he could severely injure young Master Curse. Now, it was completely beyond his expectations. Everyone, if you don't want to die like young Master Curse, the best choice is to surrender. Chapter 2194. The Great Prophecy spell itself was strange, and its power was exceptionally strong and terrifying. The enhanced version of the Cursed Tao was still more than 10 times stronger than expected. A single curse, Tao, killed young Master Curse mercilessly. As the person who did it, Lin Fei was also shocked. The system was too awesome. Most terrifying of it all was that this ultimate attack of the Cursed Tao was mysterious and unfathomable, and it was impossible to guard against. It was like a sharp sword above one's head that would descend at any moment. Young Master Curse is dead. The frown on Bai Ye's face was so deep that it almost formed a Chuan character. Mr. Cursed was killed, and he was killed in one move. What is Di Tian's background? How can he master such a terrifying curse like the Great Prophecy spell? Bai Ye's mind raced, but he couldn't figure out the connection. Could Di Tian be from the Curse Palace? This is important news. In the beginning, the appearance of the 10,000 Swords Villa and the Divine Knife sect by Di Tian's side made everyone feel uneasy. No one knew when Di Tian had colluded with them. If that was all, no one would feel much about it. The 10,000 Swords Mountain Villa and the Divine Knife sect were not weak, but in the world of the 33 Holy Heavens, they were at most first-rate forces. In front of the super forces, they could not withstand a single blow. Any one of the major powerhouses was enough to wipe out the two forces. Now it's getting troublesome. Ever since Dition used the curse technique, everyone had a headache. Not only was it difficult to deal with, but it also involved the 33 holy heavens. Bai Yi, the demonic Nick Hang, Chun Hao, and the other chosen saints all revealed grave expressions after young Master Curse was killed. Especially the last sentence, coupled with the encirclement of tens of thousands of battle emperors. They gradually felt powerless. "We've underestimated Dition," Heavenly Devil Rainbow said with a bitter smile. Dition has grasped a curse technique, and it's a killer move like Great Prophecy technique. No one knows if he also has curse techniques. Damn it. Damn it, an unremarkable sealed world. How did such a freak appear? Chun Hao was a holy son, but he had to admit that Dition had become even more terrifying after mastering curse techniques. Breakthrough? They were no longer confident. The Curse Palace was a force that struck fear in the hearts of others. Even a powerhouse would not be willing to offend any disciple of the Curse Palace. That was because the Curse Palace was famous for shielding their own. 100,000 were Emperor Rankers, and they were still at the 9 Stars realm. This was undoubtedly a chasm that could not be crossed. They could easily trap them to death. "You want us to surrender? Who do you think you are?" One of the heavens, chosen, let out a cold snort. His fist technique shook the heavens and sent more than 10 combat emperors flying. At the same time, he waved his hand and released several puppets to shield his back. His silhouette turned illusory, creating layers of afterimages. They were about to break out of the encirclement. Bang! The sky was filled with afterimages as the prodigy fell out of the void. The curse fire wrapped around his body, and he screamed miserably as he turned into nothingness before everyone's eyes. "Everyone, feel free to break out." Lin Fei stood with his hands behind his back. After the previous incident, Lin Fei was prepared. He could not wait for them to break out of the encirclement. He would kill as many as they broke out of the encirclement. He did not believe that they could escape from the spellcaster. Putting everything else aside, just the various curses and attacks were enough to give everyone a hard time. Cursed fire! The rest of the prodigies who wanted to break out of the encirclement shuddered. The cursed fire was a terrifying attack that was not inferior to the Great Prophecy spell, other than the treasures that were specially refined for curses. Outsiders could not withstand the attack of the cursed fire and would be burned into nothingness, leaving nothing behind. 2 types of curses had appeared consecutively, and they were both top-notch existences. It was no different from dropping a heavy bomb. Don't act rashly. Bai Yi did not want to send everyone to their deaths. This time they are already prepared. It will be difficult for us to break out of the encirclement. Chun Hao said dryly, "With the Great Prophecy spell and the cursed fire, I believe that there are people from the Curse Palace hiding in the void. It will be even more difficult to break out. Everyone give up resisting. Even Bai Yi. There was no way to break out of the encirclement. This Dition was too terrifying. When the rest saw that Prince Bai Yi had given up resisting, they also gave up. Instead of dying in vain, they might as well see what Dition wanted to see. With their background, Dition should not dare to kill them. They were also skeptical about the latter's idea. Even Prince Bai had killed Bai Yi, let alone them. "Prince Bai, you have made a good choice." Lin Fei smiled. "I will not kill you. I am only making a deal with the forces behind you. I am a very easy person to talk to." Easy to talk to? Everyone did not believe this. It was easy to talk to 100,000 battle emperors surrounding them. "This is a small toy that I have refined. If you stay here peacefully, it will naturally protect your lives. If you have other thoughts, this small toy will give you a perfect gift. You will definitely be satisfied." Many small toys were sealed on the bodies of the geniuses. It was a blooming flower. The color of the flower was pitch black, but it gave off a dangerous aura that made one's heart palpitate. Everyone don't move. This flower should be augmented with the cursed fire and other cursed secret techniques. Once it explodes, our bodies will definitely not be able to withstand it. Bai Yi was experienced and knowledgeable, so he was aware of the danger. Prince Bai, you have good eyesight to be able to recognize it at a glance. This emperor is impressed. Lin Fei clapped his hands. Since, this emperor will not say any more. The geniuses who had given up resisting were all guarded by the Tao slaves and sword slaves. The eternal warship, a pseudo-giant level treasure, was also taken away by Lin Fei. It could provide some help for the Blood Sky Seal's advancement. Prince Bai, where are the other people from the 33 sacred heavens? Please tell me. This will save me the trouble of looking for them. Lin Fei smiled at Bai Yi. Bai Yi smiled bitterly. I don't have a choice. What do you think? Bai Yi had become a prisoner, coupled with the fact that he had not figured out Chu Ditian's background. He naturally would not offend him at this time. A treasure that could combine the cursed fire and other secret techniques to form a unique threat was not something an ordinary person could create. Before the danger was resolved, no one was willing to offend Di Tian. No matter what, they had to survive first. They could not wait for Di Tian to offend all the 33 sacred heavens forces. When that happened, even if they had countless battle emperors, they would not be able to withstand the fury of the giants. Di Tian, this native, was now walking on the path of death. He had captured the geniuses. Lin Fei led the Tao slaves and sword slaves straight to the camps of the various forces. Kill. On a plain, several forces had joined together to form a base camp. A black torrent rushed in and broke open the camp. The Tao slaves and sword slaves rushed in like a flood and started a massacre. The plain was filled with the stench of blood. Lin Fei did not need to do anything. The Tao slaves and sword slaves had become the most terrifying warriors on the battlefield. Bai Yi and the other geniuses were being held at the back. Unless a giant expert comes, these people will not be able to withstand Di Tian's power. Bai Yi sighed softly. This is too terrifying, especially since they have mastered the sword techniques of the 10,000 Swords Villa and the top-notch saber techniques of the Divine Saber Sect. Their killing power is too terrifying. They are not afraid of death. They could clearly see the battle on the battlefield. Chapter 2195. Mountain of God Emperor. This is bad. Run. This is too scary. His cultivation level is so high, and he has mastered high-level blade and sword skills. We can't stop him. Don't kill us. We surrender. Following the invasion of the Black Torrent, even the 10-star battle emperors felt their scalps go numb. No one wanted to experience the feeling of being surrounded by waves of enemies. One by one, the forces were wiped out. They're finished. Prince Bai Yi, who was being watched by the battle emperor's side. Along the way, Bai Yi experienced the terror that Di Tian's subordinates brought. I didn't expect Di Tian to be so ruthless. He killed everyone except the genius disciples. Saint Chin Hao said coldly. Their group was expanding. Being watched by the battle emperors and the treasures they had, they didn't have the heart to resist. You've been caught too. Sai, who knew Di Tian's underlings would be so powerful. They're like the autumn wind, sweeping away the fallen leaves. This is too scary. The geniuses who were familiar with Di Tian were captured one by one. It was inevitable that someone would point out the culprit. In the group, the geniuses were dejected. The prodigies who were usually arrogant about their strength and could kick the various major forces around were all defeated in front of Di Tian and captured alive one after another. If they wanted to die, Lin Fei didn't mind sending them on their way. In fact, there were only a few geniuses who wanted to die. They chose to surrender when there was no hope. Bai Yi and the rest were the best proof. At least they didn't kill the geniuses. After wiping out one force after another, all the major forces in the Mountain of God Emperor were wiped out. only a few powerful top forces were left. No one could stop Lin Fei's human wave attack. Most importantly, there were battle emperors, 9-star battle emperors. There were more than 100,000 of them. No matter how many came, they would die. It's time to attack the other top forces. Lin Fei squinted his eyes as he looked at the captives behind him. With a wave of his hand, the mighty army of battle emperors headed towards a direction in the mountain of God Emperor. Di Tian, if I were you, I wouldn't look for trouble with them. Bai Yi suddenly said, You don't know how terrifying they are. This is my territory. No matter how powerful you are not as powerful as me. Lin Fei didn't even turn his head as he threw out a domineering statement. In the mountain god emperor space, there were only 4 top forces left. These 4 top forces, in the world of the 33 holy heavens without exception, they were all top-notch existences. There were powerhouses at the level of giants, and at the same time, there are even stronger existences. Unlike the others, they didn't attack Di Tian from the start. They disdained such behavior. Therefore, no matter what happened, they still occupied a spot in the mountain of God Emperor and waited for the origin fruit to appear. This was also a display of their confidence in their own strength. Boom, boom, boom. Tens of thousands of soldiers gathered their spirit, energy, and spirit together, breaking through the clouds, domineering and invincible. Interesting that Di Tian is here. Within a mountain valley, at the peak sat an elder with a head of white hair. His gaze was like lightning as he passed through layers of space and saw the mighty flood. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Several prodigies came up from the foot of the mountain and appeared beside the old man. Elder Qin, this should be that Di Tian. Rumor has it that he has tens of thousands of 9-star battle emperors by his side. A prodigy with black and white eyebrows stared coldly in front of him. What a good aboriginal, thinking that he is invincible after destroying other forces. He thinks too highly of himself. Does he really think that our ocean god city is easy to bully? Elder Qin, let us teach Di Tian a lesson. It would be best if we can capture him alive. At that time, we can see what treasures he has on him. By then, whatever treasures he has will belong to our ocean god city. Another prodigy requested to fight. Ocean god city was one of the top forces in the world of the 33 holy heavens. You are not allowed to fight. The old man stood up. This Di Tian is not easy to deal with. If anyone underestimates him, they might die here. Several prodigies had unnatural expressions on their faces. Elder Qin, you are helping others' morale and diminishing your own. He is just an aboriginal. If not for the opportunity, how could he be our opponent? A prodigy was unconvinced. They were born into nobility. How could someone from the sealed world compare to them? Elder Chen's words were undoubtedly a provocation to them. Chen Wanyan shook his head in disappointment. Can't you see how powerful Di Tian is? Tens of thousands of 9-star battle emperors. How many forces could do that? Can you do it? Of course. Qin Wanyan would not say these words out loud. Your Majesty Di Tian, what is the meaning of you bringing so many people here? A loud rumbling sound spread. The entire mountain god emperor was spread out. Everyone heard the sound. Lin Fei squinted his eyes. What a great ocean god city elder. He is indeed not simple. See, God City, from what he heard from others, was a top-notch power. If he was in the world of the 33 sage heavens, Lin Fei might have some reservations. But now that he was in the mountain of God Emperor space where powerful experts could not come down, he had nothing to worry about. The mountain God Emperor is my territory. Where can I not go? Elder Qin, don't you think so? Lin Fei took the initiative and emphasized the ownership of the mountain God Emperor space. In fact, he gave him a reason to attack. Let's see if you are convinced. Lin Fei did not want to offend such a top force for the time being. Chen Wanyan realized that Di Tian did not come with good intentions. Tian, the mountain god emperor space, is yours just because you said it's yours. Who do you think you are? A prodigy sneered. I also said that the mountain god emperor space is mine. In front of me, a junior like you is not qualified to speak. Lin Fei glared at the prodigy. The prodigy let out a miserable cry. The curse fire burned fiercely and instantly turned him into ashes. Curse fire! Chen Wanyan was shocked. What relationship do you have with the Curse Palace? Lin Fei stood with his hands behind his back. Elder Chen, your prodigy is too unruly. It's best if you take care of him. I don't like people who talk nonsense. Chen Wanyan thought that Tian was cunning. The prodigy's death was in vain. He turned back and glared at them. All of you shut up. A single curse fire made the prodigy fearful. After being reprimanded, he could only glare at Tian angrily. This was the hardest attack to defend against. Your Majesty Lin Fei, the prodigy, is insensible. You have already vented your anger by killing him. Chen Wanyan looked at Lin Fei. Can you tell me why you are here? Chapter 2196. Kill without mercy. The last 3 words resounded in the sky above Mount God Emperor. So domineering. A bumpkin dares to say such words to an elder of Sea God City. I'm in awe. Illegal invasion? How dare he say that? Although Tian has more than 90,000 battle emperors, Sea God City is not a force to be trifled with. Tian is seeking his own death. The captured prodigies clapped their hands and their hearts, hoping that Tian would suffer a huge setback at Sea God City. Everyone knew the strength of Sea God City in the 33 sacred heavens. Now, Tian was not afraid of anything. Provoking Sea God City was equivalent to finding trouble for himself. At the same time, several powerful divine senses swept across the entire space of Mount God Emperor. They were the elders of the other 3 factions. The divine senses transformed into a clear figure that appeared in the sky. Their appearance immediately drew gasps of surprise from the prodigies. They're here. I've seen the one on the left before. That's Elder Fong from Horizon Mountain. He was a powerful prodigy 1,000 years ago. The one at the top, I've seen him once from afar. He's an extremely shrewd and calculative elder. Elder Lin from Flame City. The one in black is known as the Blade of Death. He's an expert in saber techniques. Elder Yu from Sky City. In the sky, 3 figures exuded an invincible aura. Kill without mercy? You're that arrogant Tian? Fong Wang, a middle-aged man in embroidered robes, said coldly. They all say that there's an arrogant guy in the sealed world. I didn't believe it before, but now I believe it. What do you think, Elder Yu? Lin Yijian from Flame Mountain squinted his eyes. His gaze flickered as if he was calculating something. Yulin did not like this Elder Yijian. This guy was too calculative. Who knew what he was calculating? He liked to use force to destroy everything. I don't know if he's arrogant or not, Yulin said. I only know that this Tian is interesting. This Tian is interesting. I wonder how many strikes he can take from me. Chen Wanyan's expression darkened. No one dared to say such words, especially in front of him. That would be a provocation to see God City. Chen Wanyan narrowed his eyes when the elders from the other 3 factions appeared. That's impossible. Lin Fei was not surprised by the appearance of the elders of the 3 factions. He had been monitoring the space of the Mountain God Emperor ever since he came here, so he would be notified immediately if anything happened. You're just 3 divine sense afterimages. How dare you put on an act here? Lin Fei snorted coldly, which was like a bolt from the blue. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The saber slaves and sword slaves formed a sword formation and charged over without any warning. 3 divine senses materialized. Evidently, they hadn't expected Tian to be so violent. He didn't even give them a chance to display their strength. Instead, he pressed down on them with his army and attacked them from all directions. Di Tian, how dare you? You're rebelling. How dare a native like you attack us? The army pressed on, drowning the three shadows in the sea of people. Even though the three divine sense shadows had extraordinary combat power, they were instantly destroyed by the sea of people. He couldn't even hold on for a little longer. Even if it's me, I will still kill him without hesitation. Lin Fei was very calm about the situation before him. Elder Qin, don't you think that's reasonable? Qin Wanyan decided to wait and see. It would be best to let them test Di Tian so that he could figure out something. After all, tens of thousands of 9 stars battle emperors who were not afraid of death were extremely terrifying. If it was a giant powerhouse, there was nothing to be concerned about. However, Qin Wanyan wasn't one. He was merely a 10-star battle emperor. Even if he had treasures in his hands, he didn't have much confidence. This Di Tian really doesn't play by the rules. Qin Wanyan was also shocked. Di Tian had destroyed the divine senses of the 3 elders just because of a few words. Is he going to attack me? Qin Wanyan wasn't sure what Lin Fei was thinking. Even though Qin Wanyan had a trump card, if he really went all out, the other 3 factions would benefit from it. If he couldn't get the origin fruit, he wouldn't be able to explain himself when he returned. Then how much does your Majesty Di Tian want for this entrance fee? Qin Wanyan thought for a while and immediately came up with an idea. Based on Qin Wanyan's understanding of the other 3, even though it wouldn't affect them much after their divine senses were destroyed, they definitely wouldn't be able to take it lying down. They would definitely find trouble with Di Tian. This was something that Qin Wanyan could think of even if he closed his eyes. Elder Qin is really straightforward. This is the entrance fee. You can take a look. A jade slip flew over. Qin Wanyan grabbed it in his hand. He didn't think that the other party would ask for too much. As soon as his divine sense entered the jade slip, his expression instantly changed and his whole face darkened. The origin fruit is formed from the essence of the wasteland world. One origin fruit can create a powerhouse. No matter what, it will be a giant realm. In the eyes of a top force like Sea God City, this entrance fee is not worth mentioning at all. Lin Fei smiled. Qin Wanyan's words were rebutted by Lin Fei. His heart was filled with anger. This damn guy, a backward country bumpkin. How dare he ask for such a condition? This is blatant robbery. Some of the materials on the jade slip were ordinary, but some were priceless. This was an exorbitant demand. This put Qin Wanyan in a difficult position. How should he answer? The Black Army gradually closed in. As an elder of the Sea God City, Qin Wanyan had never encountered such a situation. It was really displeasing. This is impossible. You are asking for an exorbitant demand. After some thought, Qin Wanyan still rejected. He didn't want to be perfunctory anymore. At most, he would just fight. Moreover, the experts of the other 3 factions had appeared. Together with him, it shouldn't be difficult to destroy Di Tian. Giant-level treasure? What was that? All 4 major factions had it. It was just a small toy. Lin Fei shook his head in disappointment. Why do you have to do this? Actually, I really don't want to kill you. Kill. Qin Wanyan thought that Di Tian was afraid. In the next second, the surrounding disciples, deacons, and prodigy elders of the Sea God City were all attacked by cursed techniques. Elder, not good. I've been hit by the weakening technique. I've been poisoned. This is too terrifying. The Tao slave and sword slave charged over and slashed at the disciples and prodigies present. Almost none of them had the ability to fight back. Your opponent is me. Lin Fei took out the blood sky seal and suppressed it with a rumble. Time and space enveloped them, and everyone's speed slowed down. They were instantly killed. Heart of the ocean. A torrential ocean pressed against Qin Wanyan's head. Chapter 2197. As soon as the heart of the ocean appeared, monstrous waves formed a barrier. This was only one of the treasures of Ocean God City's Elder Zhang Wanyan. Ocean God City was the epitome of wealth. In the eyes of others, it was impossible to obtain a magnate-level treasure. However, in the eyes of Ocean God City, a magnate-level treasure was nothing at all. This was the difference between them. Tian, you will regret ignoring our Ocean God City like this. Zhang Wanyan activated the crystal blue heart of the ocean, raising monstrous waves that crushed over. Half of the sky was filled with water. Elder Zhang is right. He's just a native. How dare he threaten us? In the distance, Yulin of Sky City came alone with a black spear in his hand. With a shake of the spear, the void collapsed. A total of 18 dragons roared and shot towards Lin Fei in the sky. Flame Divine Pearl burned 10,000 miles. Lin Yijian of Flame City was not willing to be outdone. With such a good opportunity, he had to kill Tian. If he did not kill this kind of person, he would definitely become a huge threat in the future. With this thought in mind, his killing intent became even stronger. Lin Yijian was born with a kind of intuition. As long as someone was dangerous, he would be able to see through it with a single glance. He had never made a mistake before. From the first glance, Lin Yijian felt that this Tian would be a strong enemy in the future. If he did not kill him now, when would he? Not to mention that there were 4 top forces involved. The monstrous flames instantly engulfed all the enemies in the sky. The entire world became a sea of red flames. Even from afar, everyone could feel the heat waves surging towards the sky. The red flames burned their bodies, and they all circulated their energy to resist. What a good treasure. I'm afraid Tian is in trouble. Bai Yi said indifferently. Flame City's Flame Divine Pearl can burn 10,000 miles. Even a war emperor expert will be burned to death. Tian's subordinates probably won't be able to resist this kind of red flames for long. Flame City was known as the Grandmaster level of fire. This flame was naturally powerful beyond imagination, especially now that it was a magnate-level treasure that was used. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. As soon as the red flames appeared, hundreds and thousands of blade and sword slaves were instantly burned into nothingness. There was basically nothing that could resist it. Even though Flame City's Lin Yijian was not a magnate, he could still kill a war emperor expert with this pearl in his hand. He could still kill war emperors. Within these flames, he was an omnipotent existence. You will definitely die today. Lin Yijian laughed and pushed the divine flame bead to the limit. Your flames are indeed powerful. This emperor's flames are stronger than yours. Lin Fei's lips curled up as he lightly spat out 2 words. Cursed flames. Without warning, Lin Yijian's body soared into the air and a ball of cursed fire appeared. Not far away, Yulin and even Zhang Wanyan were the same. Cursed flames emerged from their bodies. Once the cursed flames appeared, they were unparalleled under the heavens. Tao of spells weaken. Tao of spells paralysis. Lin Fei continued to cast curse techniques. His entire person became incomparably mysterious. They all cried out in alarm. As the curse flames burned, Lin Yijian's expression changed greatly. One of his arms was burned off, and the divine flame orb fell to the ground. Just as he was about to retrieve it, the curse attack came again, and he was out of strength. How do you know how to cast spells? You are from the Spell Palace. Lin Fei suddenly appeared in front of Lin Yijian. With a single grab, the divine flame bead fell into his hand. This thing is not bad. I will gladly accept it. Whoosh! Lin Yijian was entangled by the curse flames. Coupled with the paralysis effect, he could only watch as the divine flame bead was snatched away. As soon as the treasure fell into his hand, the flames that filled the sky were retracted. Dao Nu and Sword Nu besieged him. There were more than 20,000 of them, drowning Lin Yijian. To Lin Fei's subordinates, other than the threat of the flames, there was no threat to them. After losing the treasure, the divine flame bead, Lin Yijian did not hold on for long before he was killed. In fact, it happened in the blink of an eye. On the other hand, Yulin did not have a good ending. His combat strength was not bad, and the treasure was not a large-scale treasure. A dense number of war emperors surrounded him and closed in on him. Wave after wave. They paid the price of 8,000 to kill him in one fell swoop. The black spear also fell into Lin Fei's hands. Kill all the people from Blazing Mountain and Sky City. Since he had killed them, Lin Fei might as well go all out and kill them all first. 50,000 subordinates went straight to 2 places to kill. Fong Wong of Skycliff Mountain, how long are you going to hide? Lin Fei's eyes were like lightning as he shot towards the void. Your Majesty Di Tian, don't attack. Fong Wong came out from the void. He couldn't help but be shocked. Zhang Wanyan watched as 2 experts were killed one after another, and he became uneasy. The divine flame bead was a powerful treasure, but it was still defeated by Di Tian. His mind quickly turned. I am willing to pay the entrance fee, Fong Wong added, afraid that Di Tian would attack. From the beginning, Lin Fei was prepared to kill 1 or 2 to show them who was the boss. Only then would he be able to continue his act. Now, everything was under control. Our Sea God City is also willing. Zhang Wanyan put away the ocean's heart. The unstoppable cursed flames were too terrifying, and they were even more powerful than the cursed palaces. Lin Fei's face darkened. I was polite to you before, but you didn't know what was good for you. I even dared to kill people from Sky City and Blazing Mountain, let alone the 2 of you. The 2 of them could hear the cold killing intent in Di Tian's voice. He was really going to make a move on them. At this moment, the 2 of them could only smile bitterly and helplessly. They had planned to work together to kill Di Tian, but who would have thought that he would be so powerful? Once the cursed flames were released, he killed the 2 of them. The scariest thing was that this Di Tian had some kind of relationship with the cursed palace. That was the scariest thing. If they knew that the cursed palace's terrifying cursed flames were here, they wouldn't have come even if they were beaten to death. They didn't have such a hobby. We are willing to pay double the price. The 2 of them didn't dare to fight Di Tian now, and they would rather pay the price. Lin Fei said coldly, even double the price is not enough. I feel that it is better to kill you first and end everything once and for all. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The saber slave and sword slave who had left earlier quickly returned. Their killing intent soared into the sky, and at the same time they reeked of blood. Your Majesty, Sky City, and Blazing Mountain have been killed. A saber slave covered in blood walked in front of Lin Fei. Not bad, well done. Fong Wong and Zhang Wanyan's heart sank. Sky City and Blazing Mountain were completely finished. The 2 of them knew their strength very well, and they had lost too quickly in front of Di Tian. It was a complete defeat. The saber slave and sword slave surrounded Di Tian. The pressure on the 2 of them multiplied. At this moment, they had no confidence. So what if they had a magnate-level treasure? They couldn't block the curse technique. Once they were hit by the curse technique, it would be fatal. We will pay triple the price. The saber slave and sword slave continued to advance. A sky full of killing intent welcomed them. For 5 times, the 2 of them could only tempt Di Tian with this. As long as they kept their lives, they would have plenty of chances to take revenge in the future. Lin Fei didn't relent. You want to let you go with 5 or 6 times. Dream on. 6 times. 7 times. Sweat appeared on the 2 of their foreheads. If these people rushed over, they would be killed. 8 times. Don't kill us. This was a huge price to pay. The 2 of them gritted their teeth. Lin Fei's system was also analyzing the 2 of them. It would be best if he could take a big bite out of them. That way, he wouldn't have killed the people of Sky City and Blazing Mountain in vain. Chapter 2198. 8 times the price. Both Feng Wang and Zhang Wanyan heaved a sigh of relief after hearing what Lin Fei said. Their backs were drenched in cold sweat. They had never been afraid before, but this was the first time they were afraid in front of Di Tian. They were afraid that the curse technique was too powerful. Hand over your treasures and stand aside obediently. Some saber slaves came out and demanded them to hand over their treasures. Lin Fei would not be merciful to his enemies. If he did not control the system and had the ability to convert the mysterious energy into secret techniques, he would have become a dead soul in their hands. The surrender of Chenya Mountain and Oceanic God City announced that the Mountain God Emperor space was once again in Lin Fei's hands. Even though some of them were not convinced, Lin Fei's method was simple. Kill them on the spot. After killing some of them, the rest became obedient. In their eyes, Lin Fei had become a demon king. The forces of the Mountain God Emperor were soon wiped out. Lin Fei did not capture any captives and chose to kill them all. He was a step closer to becoming a giant, and the forces of the Mountain God Emperor were wiped out. Some forces also escaped into the immortal world. Lin Fei did not go and deal with them for now. The most important thing now was to occupy the Mountain God Emperor space. The origin fruit was very important. The Mountain God Emperor was also heavily guarded, and the system started to monitor it. If any forces tried to invade, the saber slaves and sword slaves would kill them on the spot. For a moment, no one dared to enter the Mountain God Emperor space. Lin Fei arranged for the soldiers to stay at the important positions. They would be killed as soon as they showed themselves. When the news spread, the world of the 33 sacred heavens was in an uproar. Everyone was silent. So many powers were sent down, yet they all fell to Di Tian's hands. What was going on? When did such an expert appear in a sealed world? The 4 top forces were defeated one after another. There were even rumors that the 4 top forces would roar from time to time. The news came back one after another. All the forces were dumbfounded again. The first time, the interference of the 10,000 Swords Mountain Villa and the Godly Knife sect had already made everyone unhappy. Then, the 2 sacred masters brought people to settle the scores with the 10,000 Swords Mountain Villa and the Godly Knife sect. He bit off a large piece of flesh from their mouths and barely let them go. Before they could figure out why the people from the 10,000 Swords Villa and the Divine Knife sect would appear next to Di Tian, they received even more unacceptable news. Di Tian seemed to be from the Cursed Palace. As soon as the news spread, no one could remain calm. Who didn't know how powerful the Cursed Palace was? Even their cultivation art was ranked among the top 10 cultivation arts. Compared to the 10 great cultivation arts, incantations were even more bizarre and impossible to guard against. There had never been anyone who dared to offend the Cursed Palace because the Cursed Palace's vengeance was extremely crazy. Now that such a piece of news had come out, it was definitely not good news. Soon, all kinds of rumors spread. Di Tian is from the Cursed Palace. Di Tian is the illegitimate son of a giant of the Cursed Palace. Di Tian is a pawn of the Cursed Palace. The news spread like wildfire. As for those who wanted to find out the truth, not a single one of them dared to do so. The leader of the Elysium was extremely anxious. Could it be that Di Tian was really a pawn of the Cursed Palace? No one was sure. However, Di Tian had used the curse fire within his curse arts to heavily injure Blazing City's Lineagein in a single exchange. How could that be explained? Pressure? If it was any other power, it would be fine. However, this was the Curse Palace. That was not something they could easily pressure. Other than that, Di Tian's exorbitant demand had shocked everyone. When they saw that there were precious and ordinary materials on the list, they were all confused. What was this Di Tian trying to do? The news about Di Tian continued to spread in the world of the 33 Sage Heavens. In the world of the 33 Sage Heavens, in a dark abyss without any daylight, there were huge cities floating in this place. Endless black winds whistled, and huge flying beasts flew across the sky. They swallowed the howling black winds. At the same time, a huge black river surrounded the city. This black river had a terrifying name. It was called the Curse River. The Curse River was a river where incantations gathered. It was a mysterious thing that was born in the world. Every once in a while, a secret technique would be born. The secret techniques of the entire Curse Palace originated from this Curse River. Today, all the giants of the Curse Palace were gathered together. There was no choice. Something big had happened in the Curse Palace. The security of the Curse Palace had also been strengthened. In the eerie palace, many shadows landed on the thrones. Every one of them was a giant expert. These giants had not been feeling well recently. It was because of Tion's Curse Palace. Now all the disciples in the Curse Palace were guessing which giant's illegitimate son Tion was. The Curse Palace had always been very strict with incantations. Normally, incantations would not be leaked out. If they were leaked out, outsiders would not be able to successfully cultivate them. Which one of you has admitted that Tion is the illegitimate son of one of you? The one sitting at the head of the table was the Curse Palace's palace master. He was dressed in white and looked at everyone with a sharp gaze. It would be a lie if he wasn't angry. As the palace master, he actually didn't know about such a big thing. Whenever this matter was brought up, the palace master was filled with anger. He really wanted to catch the culprit. The Curse Palace was swept into the center of the world of the 33 sage heavens. Everyone thought that this was done on the orders of the Curse Palace. Even the Lord of the sagely sky was unhappy. The Curse Palace was taking everything for itself. Wasn't it too overbearing? Weren't they afraid of bearing themselves? In fact, the Lord of the sagely sky had even told the Curse Palace to release the slots so that they wouldn't take everything for themselves. This made the palace master of the Curse Palace speechless. Even though the Curse Palace was very powerful, they didn't dare to offend the Lord of the sagely sky and the other major powers. After all, the Curse Palace wasn't as glorious as it had been in the past. Right now, they had to find out whose subordinate Tion was. The giants all remained silent. They really didn't have an illegitimate son. "Palace master, they're deliberately slandering us," a giant said. "Don't fall for it." The palace master's expression darkened. He roared, "T. What slandering? Then who can explain why Tion has cursed flames and why he is paralyzed? These are all secrets. If anyone tries to explain it, I will think that they're T. Everyone fell silent again. This matter was extremely vexing. The giants all cursed Tion in secret. They had just been laughing at the 10,000 Swords Villa and the Godly Knife sect. But in the blink of an eye, the Curse Palace had become the scapegoat. The scariest thing of all was that Tion had killed all the people from Flame City and Sky City. This was the start of a feud. This was something that was going to be a huge headache. What, you have nothing to say? Chapter 2199. And Tion had appeared in the mountain of God Emperors. Hence, the entire 33 sage heavens were unhappy. Many of their disciples and prodigies were in Tion's hands. This was no small matter. They had to redeem them. Take revenge again? Send experts down? Who knew? They weren't confident. If they lost more experts, it would be a slap to their faces. Everyone could only choose the second option. They had to pay a price to redeem their disciples. They couldn't allow their disciples to remain in Tion's hands forever. If Tion was unhappy and killed all their disciples, they would be the ones to suffer losses in the end. Mount God Emperor. Lin Fei's temporary residence was on the highest mountain peak. "You can leave now." After receiving another gift, a saber slave would immediately take the prodigy out and release the seal on his body. The prodigy would then run away without looking back. This was a painful time for this prodigy in the Mount God Emperor. Apart from that, he would have to face his senior and junior brothers when he returned. This wasn't a matter of pride. He would have to learn how to conceal himself for a period of time. Master, this is the 20th prodigy. In the palace, Lin Fei sat on the throne and played with the storage ring on his hand as he listened to his subordinates' reports. They are quite obedient. Ever since he destroyed Sky City and Flame City, no one dared to come down from above. Mount God Emperor was also in a state of panic. Various forces sent over ransoms to redeem the prodigies. Lin Fei was a man of his word. He would release the prodigies as soon as the ransom was paid. In less than 2 days, he released over 20 prodigies. However, Lin Fei still had over 100 prodigies. As for the worthless prodigies, he killed them all. Lin Fei let the system absorb all the ransom money that was delivered. This was his future strength. If they knew about this, they would be supporting the enemy. This is an act of supporting the enemy. I believe that their faces will definitely be very ugly. Lin Fei laughed. This is just the beginning. Those people will not be able to sit still. The day of the origin fruit was getting closer. Just as Lin Fei had guessed, just as the Curse Palace was explaining to the outside world about Di Han, another group of people brought ransom money to redeem the disciples of their sections. This was because the Sea God City and the Horizon Mountain had both reacted, paying 8 times the price. Redeem all of their people, even though the 2 families were sneakily coming here. How could Lin Fei miss out on such an opportunity? He spread the news that the 2 factions had come to redeem their people. In reality, he was telling those factions that even top-tier factions were willing to redeem their people, let alone them. With them taking the lead, the other forces could no longer sit still. He was willing to pay any price to redeem her. Lin Fei had a smile on his face every day. He was overjoyed. In secret, the Saber Slave and the Sword Slave were being cloned. At the same time, there were also curse mages which would play an important role in the future. In just 2 days, Lin Fei had cloned over 20,000 sword slaves and saber slaves through the system. This was already very fast. In less than 5 days, Lin Fei released all the captives he had captured. Bai Yi, Chun Hao, Demonic Nikhang, and the other geniuses were all brought back. The God Emperor Mountain was temporarily quiet. The system is not doing well. With a large amount of resources in hand, the speed of cloning did not increase. He only had 50,000 more subordinates, 20,000 of which were curse mages and 30,000 were left. The other half were sword slaves and saber slaves. For the time being, Lin Fei cloned these 3 types of subordinates. Master, actually you can build a cloning base. At that time, the production will increase, and you won't have to worry anymore. Little Evil Demon gave a good suggestion. You're forcing me to spend money. Lin Fei smiled bitterly. A cloning base was not cheap. This was also the reason why Lin Fei had not started yet. He did not have a lot of mysterious energy on hand. I can only wait for a while more. Lin Fei did not leave the God Emperor Mountain. According to the system's analysis, the origin fruit would be ready soon. There was another reason why he did not leave. In fact, it was to plunder the destiny energy. The God Emperor Mountain was much stronger than the outside world. This place was formed by an essence fragment. Lin Fei had to make use of the time to plunder the destiny energy. Now, Lin Fei's goal was to create an army of 400,000 to 500,000. At that time, even if he had to use the human wave tactic, he would not be afraid of exhaustion. Hua! Suddenly in the palace, a light screen fell down and formed a human figure, appearing in front of Lin Fei. Your Majesty Di Tian, you're so relaxed. As soon as the figure appeared, it spoke in a mocking tone. People from the Curse Palace, what's your purpose? Just say it. Lin Fei said, don't beat around the bush in front of me. I don't like it. Impressive, impressive. You can even see through this. Lin Fei laughed. I have the system. What can't I analyze? Even if you're a projection, I can still calculate it. What's the point of acting mysterious in front of me? With the system around, nothing could escape Lin Fei's eyes. Although the person had expected Dition to be extraordinary, he didn't expect him to be so direct. He didn't seem like a scheming person at all. Could he be someone from the Cursed Palace? Moreover, he was in existence with an extremely high status. Everyone in the Cursed Palace was speculating about this. They didn't believe that Dition's mastery of cultivation techniques would be leaked out. In that case, it must have been leaked by a certain powerhouse. If he wasn't powerful, I wouldn't be sitting here. Lin Fei smiled. You came earlier than I expected. If you don't tell me the purpose of your visit today, my guards won't mind tearing you into pieces. Lin Fei narrowed his eyes. Cursed flames filled the sky, followed by endless killing intent. Facing someone from the Cursed Palace, Lin Fei had to show his toughness. Wait. The person revealed a look of shock. Once the cursed flames were unleashed, experts would be able to tell if it was real or not. What a powerful cursed flame. It's clearly the same cursed flame. So why is its power increased so much? This doesn't make sense. Could it be that a powerhouse had a new breakthrough in his research? Of course. This expert from the Cursed Palace wouldn't know that the cursed flames had been enhanced by the system. Fortunately, I'm here. Even a powerhouse wouldn't dare to underestimate a cursed flame of this level. I'm here on behalf of the Cursed Palace to discuss a cooperation with His Majesty. With this understanding, the other party restrained his attitude. What kind of cooperation? Tell me. Lin Fei didn't kill the projection directly. In fact, he was laughing in his heart. From the moment he unleashed the cursed flames, Lin Fei believed that someone from the Cursed Palace would come. If they didn't, they wouldn't be the Cursed Palace. Our Cursed Palace would like to purchase the origin fruit from His Majesty. Chapter 2200. By the origin fruit. The meaning behind this was completely different. Lin Fei had a certain amount of influence in the world of the 33 sage heavens. Even the Cursed Palace, which had obtained the inheritance of the era, started to pay attention to Lin Fei. They even mentioned the word "by." Actually, Lin Fei had a rough idea of why he had come. It was because they didn't know his background. Lin Fei couldn't help but feel proud. He finally had some influence. Although the methods he used were too bloody, at least it was effective. You guys want this origin fruit? That's easy. Lin Fei smiled. However, you guys have to pay a deposit. That means you guys have the right to bid for the origin fruit in the future. After killing the prodigies of several factions, Lin Fei treated the mountain of God Emperor as his territory. The origin fruit would be his. Lin Fei didn't have the intention to eat it all in one go. He wanted to fool these people first. For example, the representative of the Cursed Palace. The person who came did not say much. Unexpectedly, he chose to agree and took the deposit slip back. From beginning to end, he did not say another word. As long as I have a large amount of resources, I can create an endless human army. No matter what schemes you guys have, don't think of using them on me. Lin Fei didn't believe that the Cursed Palace would be so kind. Little devil, how's the analysis of the origin fruit? When will it appear? Lin Fei asked. According to my calculations and the system's analysis, it should be in 3 days. As for the exact location, I still need to calculate. 3 days? There's still time. World of the 33 sage heavens. Cursed Palace. In a secret chamber. Giants gathered. If someone was here, they would definitely be shocked. The overall strength of the Cursed Palace was indeed very strong. Any of the giants here would be an invincible existence among those of the same level. Everyone was waiting for news. In the past few days, the Cursed Palace was having a hard time. The Cursed Palace's palace master, Zhou Wuhuan, was under a lot of pressure. He cursed Dition countless times. All the major factions were eyeing them. If not for the fact that the Cursed Palace had a strong foundation, some of the other factions would have joined forces to attack them. After all, This was a perfectly justifiable excuse. How is it? One of the leaders, sitting in the middle, opened his eyes. The surrounding magnates became spirited. Should we kill that Tian? This trip, all of them knew their goal. Firstly, they wanted to test Tian. If they could kill him, that would be for the best. But even if they couldn't kill him, they had to at least achieve some sort of objective. Everyone had the thought that the pavilion closest to the water enjoys moonlight first. Tian is very mysterious. At the same time, he grasped an even more terrifying curse technique. I suspect that this Tian might have inherited the essence of the curse path. As soon as this big shot's words came out, everyone could no longer remain calm. Impossible. The legacy of our curse palace is the most complete. That's right. He's just Tian, and he's in the sealed world. How could he have obtained the legacy of the curse Tao? Moreover, it's even more powerful than the curse techniques of our curse palace. One by one, the magnates asked. This was something that would affect the future of the curse palace. Everyone, quiet down and wait for Elder Mu to speak. Chu Wuhuan shouted, and everyone quieted down. Elder Mu, one of the magnates, projected himself. He was more experienced and reliable. He wasn't an impatient person. Everyone, please take a look. A light screen shot out from Elder Mu's eyes. The light screen showed the scene of Tian unleashing the curse fire. It was clearly displayed in front of everyone. The secret chamber was instantly in an uproar. The layman watched the show, while the expert saw the artistry. Everyone understood what was going on when they saw it. Even the palace lord, Chu Wuhuan, had a solemn expression as he stared at the light screen. It was a deep sense of helplessness. The others were also dumbfounded. Even they could feel the power of the curse fire. But why was it stronger than their curse palace? This didn't make sense at all. Inside the mountain of God Emperor, the Tao slave and the sword slave were patrolling non-stop. However, everyone in the 33 sacred heavens would be killed without mercy. They would all be turned into a part of Lin Fei's power. It was unknown if everyone knew that the origin fruit was going to appear, or if they were frightened. For a moment, no one appeared in the mountain of God Emperor. Apart from the patrolling guards, there was no one else. Have you calculated the exact location? In the blink of an eye, it was time for the origin fruit to appear. Lin Fei didn't dare to let his guard down for even a moment. There was a limited number of origin fruits. Lin Fei wasn't willing to lose the origin fruit. The origin fruit, which was born from absorbing the fragments of the wilderness world, contained unimaginable power. Perhaps, with the help of the origin fruit and the system, Lin Fei could create even more powerful slaves. Almost there, almost there. The mysterious energy was also being consumed. This was also the reason why Lin Fei didn't want to make a mistake. He could use the mysterious energy to analyze the situation. 2 hours later, Lin Fei finally heard a beautiful voice. Master, I have already calculated the location. You can rush over now, the little devil said. Moreover, I have also detected that there were countless energies that covered the mountain of God Emperor. Although the traces were hidden, they couldn't escape my detection. Lin Fei gave her a thumbs up. Good job. The last 3 days were peaceful. Lin Fei didn't believe that they would give up. They were waiting for the origin fruit to appear. When the time comes, they would fight for it in the mountain of God Emperor. Lin Fei immediately obtained the exact location. When he found out, he couldn't help but be surprised. It's actually here. Interesting. At the same time, all the major powers in the 33 sage heavens had their eyes on the mountain of God Emperor. Who asked the origin fruit to be so important? All the powers that had reached a certain level knew one thing, and that was that the origin fruit brought great benefits. Now that the origin fruit was about to mature, everyone was staring at it. The ancestor has calculated that the origin fruit will appear after midnight. All the elders, stay alert. Don't let anyone beat you to it. As soon as the origin fruit appears, make your move. In the void, a treasure opened up, hiding a person inside. This was a wave of forces. What about Tian? He has 100,000 combat emperors with him. They are all 9 stars. They are extremely powerful. If you are trapped, your life will be in danger. The appearance of Tian in the mountain of God Emperor was very worrying, especially the combat emperor army. Until now, they still couldn't figure out how this Tian was related to a force like the Cursed Palace. Everyone felt quite pressured to go to the mountain of God Emperor. After all, the mountain of God Emperor was formed from a piece of desolate world fragment. The stronger one was, the greater the suppression. However, in order to get one origin fruit, everyone used all their trump cards. Chapter 2202. It's actually here. Mountain God Emperor. There was a sinkhole in the center. This was also the only sinkhole in the Mountain God Emperor. The sinkhole was unfathomably deep. Someone had tried to enter it before. There was a mysterious energy in the sinkhole that was constantly whistling. Anyone who came into contact with it would die. After knowing the location, Lin Fei was dumbfounded for a moment. For example, Lin Fei was standing at the edge of the sinkhole at this moment. He looked into the sinkhole. It was pitch black inside, and at the same time there was a dangerous aura. Even Lin Fei felt an inexplicable sense of fear. What a sinkhole! I'm afraid no one would have thought that the origin fruit would appear inside the sinkhole. Lin Fei would never doubt the system's words. Little devil, check the energy in the sinkhole and see what it is. Lin Fei had checked this sinkhole before. At that time, the sinkhole did not have this kind of pressure. In the eyes of outsiders, it was just an ordinary sinkhole. There was nothing special about it, and no one would remember it. Analyze it immediately. It will consume a certain amount of mysterious energy. Lin Fei rolled his eyes. Allow. The analysis was quick. Lin Fei did not have to wait for long before the system had a result. Congratulations, Master. There is a mysterious energy in the sinkhole. It is one of the origin fruits of the wilderness world. Although it is very thin, it is a good thing for Master. You can smoothly transform it into mysterious energy. Lin Fei suddenly understood and slapped his forehead. So it is the origin fruit. No wonder I felt a terrifying aura of death. Those who did not know the truth might have died because of the origin fruit. Go in. Lin Fei summoned a Dao slave. Without saying a word, the Dao slave jumped into the sinkhole. The originally peaceful sinkhole was suddenly filled with a black astral wind. The Dao slave, whose strength was at the level of a 9-star combat emperor, was torn into pieces by the black astral wind. It was torn into pieces by the black astral winds, leaving not a single trace behind. It was extremely terrifying. My Dao slave is a 9-star combat emperor, but he did not even have the slightest ability to resist. He was killed just like that. I wonder how long this invincible defense of mine can last. Master, if you jump down from here, even if you activate your invincible defense, you won't be able to withstand the power of the origin. It won't last more than 10 breaths of time before disappearing from this world, without a trace. Lin Fei shuddered. That was close. If not for the little devil's reminder, Lin Fei really wanted to try it out. But now he had completely lost the mood. He didn't want to disappear from this world. In that case, hurry up and help me get rid of the essence power. I am still waiting to go down. Although the space of the Mountain God Emperor looked calm, Lin Fei knew that many pairs of eyes were staring at the space of the Mountain God Emperor. Master, you can consume the mysterious energy and activate the invincible defense to reach the bottom of the sinkhole. So simple. Help me isolate my divine sense. I'm going down. Divine sense barrier activating, consuming energy at every moment. Lin Fei took a deep breath and jumped into the sinkhole. Activate invincible defense. As soon as he entered the sinkhole, the aura of death enveloped him. For a moment, Lin Fei suspected that he was going to die. The power of the origin was actually this terrifying. The black astral wind whistled over. Lin Fei's body had an additional layer of power, and this layer of power was constantly changing. He felt as if he had fallen into an endless ocean, and at any moment he would be thrown to the ground by the huge waves. F***CK. This is too terrifying. Seeing the incoming black astral wind, the energy on Lin Fei's body kept changing, reaching a shocking speed. The moment it was about to land on his body, the energy on his body changed into the same quality as the black astral wind. The violent and terrifying astral wind turned into a warm spring breeze. It blew past his body. This is possible. Imitating the power of the origin, Lin Fei was a little dumbfounded. As long as it's energy, the system can analyze it. This is nothing, the little devil said in disdain. Lin Fei wiped off his sweat. The astral wind is so powerful, it can kill everything in an instant. Without the instant kill from the astral wind, the origin fruit will still belong to me. Recollecting his thoughts, Lin Fei allowed himself to fall. The terrifying astral wind was like a good friend, passing through him. The moment Lin Fei disappeared, the powerhouses of the 33 sacred heavens were all dumbfounded. Although the space of Mountain God Emperor was formed by a barren world fragment, and the powerhouses couldn't come down, their powerful consciousness could still spy on the space of Mountain God Emperor. Without a doubt, Lin Fei was also in the surveillance, just that he didn't show it so clearly. After all, having someone like Di Tian in the space of Mountain God Emperor was not a good thing. Instead, it was a bad thing. Subordinates that had grasped the sword techniques of 10,000 Swords Villa and Godly Bladegate were not easy to deal with. Di Tian had to be monitored. Just as everyone looked away, Di Tian disappeared from the space of Mountain God Emperor. Xiao. Divine consciousnesses pierced through the space of Mountain God Emperor. Where is he? Why is he gone? Why is he gone? Almost all the powerhouses had the same thought. Hence, the entire space of Mountain God Emperor was covered by powerful divine consciousnesses. They didn't miss a single spot hoping to find Di Tian. The powerhouses' divine consciousnesses searched back and forth, but they couldn't find Di Tian. Did they feel unwell? Master, we just discovered a powerful divine consciousness covering the space of Mountain God Emperor from the 33 sacred heavens. According to the system's analysis, they should be searching for you. Lin Fei fell for tens of thousands of feet, but he still hadn't reached the end. There shouldn't be any problem with the divine consciousness barrier, right? Lin Fei asked worriedly. It's fine, unless the powerhouses themselves come down. They can't see through the divine consciousness barrier. Lin Fei was completely relieved. Just how deep is the sinkhole? It's not the bottom yet. Inside the sinkhole, Lin Fei was still falling. The black astral wind kept howling. Lin Fei didn't dare to move. Any gust of astral wind in the sinkhole could easily kill him. Yes, the kind that could kill him instantly. 100,000 feet. 500,000 feet. 700,000 feet. The sinkhole seemed to have become a bottomless pit. Lin Fei had the invincible defense. Although it consumed mysterious energy, at least it prevented him from being killed instantly. After reaching 900,000 feet, Lin Fei looked down and his pupils constricted. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. The sinkhole wasn't considered narrow to begin with. After reaching 900,000 feet, the space below suddenly widened. At the same time, a towering tree opened up like a giant umbrella. A terrifying and dangerous aura spread out from this giant tree. Lin Fei was like an ant in front of this pitch-black giant tree. Origin fruit. Lin Fei looked down again. Under the towering tree, on the pitch-black branches, there were 9 fist-sized black fruits that were devouring the black mist. This was the origin fruit that Lin Fei was looking for. Chapter 2203. The fist-sized origin fruit hung on the origin tree, appearing in front of Lin Fei's eyes. Before seeing the origin tree, one would never be able to imagine how tall it was. Lin Fei was also shocked. However, the most eye-catching thing was the origin fruit on the origin tree. The origin fruit constantly absorbed origin energy. Before it even got close, Lin Fei could already feel the power of the origin fruit. No wonder everyone is interested in the origin fruit. Lin Fei muttered to himself, "This really is a unique existence in the world. If I casually digest one, my battle strength will increase explosively." Lin Fei did not approach the origin tree. A powerful aura appeared near the origin tree. Lin Fei activated his invincible defense, not daring to approach for a moment, afraid of being torn apart by the terrifying origin energy. Before the wild world shattered, the strength of the entire wild world can be imagined. After so many years, the origin energy of the fragmented world can still give birth to unique existences in the world. The world is really full of wonders. Lin Fei stared at the origin fruit. There were only 9 origin fruits on the huge origin tree. Master, the origin fruit contains endless energy. If Master's blood sky seal can absorb the origin fruit, it will evolve into a hegemon-level treasure, the little devil reminded. There's such a use. Lin Fei thought, looks like the holy lords and hegemon-level experts of the 33 holy heavens might have such thoughts. The little devil's words made Lin Fei think even further. What are the effects of picking the origin fruit now? Do we have to wait until it ripens? Lin Fei asked. Lin Fei completely believed that the moment the origin fruit ripened, the experts of the 33 holy heavens would descend to fight for the 9 origin fruits. There were so many forces in the 33 holy heavens. Any one of them could form a nest here. Lin Fei had some thoughts about the origin fruit, but if he gave it to them, they definitely wouldn't have such good intentions. Letting the enemy become stronger for no reason would be stupid. System analyzing. Lin Fei stood with his hands behind his back. Master, according to our analysis, origin fruits grow by absorbing origin energy. The origin tree before us is the pillar of the origin fruit. If we pluck it now, we'll only be able to unleash around 50% of the origin fruit's effects. 50%, not bad. Lin Fei narrowed his eyes. Master, there's more. Although the origin fruit is pretty good, after the system analyzed it, we discovered a shocking piece of information. This origin tree is even more valuable. It is a fragment of the savage world. Lin Fei was startled, and then he exclaimed in pleasant surprise, "No way! The source tree is more valuable?" Originally, he was still worried about whether he should draw it now. Suddenly, he heard a piece of news. Lin Fei couldn't be more excited. "Yes, very valuable." Little Fiend said, "It isn't easy for a big shot to absorb origin energy. The system has the ability to absorb and devour. As long as one absorbs this origin tree, the benefits will be much greater than the 9 origin fruits." "Well done," they're eyeing the God Emperor Mountain space. "Isn't it for the origin fruit? This time, I will make you happy for nothing." Lin Fei laughed loudly. Time passed by minute. The powerful divine sense of the God Emperor Mountain space. After searching the inside and outside of the God Emperor Mountain space, there was still no trace of D Tian. The major forces were all dumbfounded. Where did this D Tian run off to? No one guessed that D Tian had found the location of the origin tree, let alone that he was very close. If they knew, they probably wouldn't be able to calmly search with their divine sense. Instead, they put down their clones and went to the God Emperor Mountain space. Now, Lin Fei released the Tao and sword slaves. The Tao and sword slaves approached the origin tree as instructed. As soon as they approached the origin tree, they were instantly decomposed by the origin energy, leaving not even their bones behind. After sacrificing dozens of Tao slaves, Lin Fei confirmed the situation. The origin energy is indeed terrifying. Lin Fei sighed. With such terrifying power, picking the origin fruit won't be easy. Even a big shot would have a headache. The origin energy had the ability to decompose, and Lin Fei wasn't willing to send the Tao and sword slaves to their deaths. In the face of such a powerful force, even millions of powerhouses wouldn't be able to withstand the decomposition of the origin energy. No matter how many went, they would die. Master, it's easy to pick the origin fruit. Little Fiend said, although the origin energy is powerful, there will always be things that counteract it. As long as there is something that counteracts it, you will be able to pick the origin fruit. The other method is to devour the origin energy. As long as you weaken a portion of the origin energy, you will be able to pick the origin fruit. Lin Fei pondered for a moment and rejected the first method. It wasn't that there weren't things that counteracted each other, but it definitely wouldn't be that easy to find. Although the second method was stupid, it was a good one for him. All right, I'll devour the origin energy then. Inside the heaven pit, the massive blood heaven seal was taken out, and Lin Fei activated Endless Devour. He would devour as much as he could. As soon as the blood heaven seal's Endless Devour was activated, traces of the origin energy were absorbed into the blood heaven seal. The huge blood heaven seal also began to change slightly. Lin Fei deliberately controlled the speed of the devouring to prevent the blood heaven seal from being unable to hold on. He did not want this treasure to be overloaded by the origin energy. Devour. The system was also activated. Lin Fei's entire body turned into a huge vortex. The terrifying origin energy surged, enough to disintegrate any existence. Initially, he was worried that the system would not be able to hold on. It would be a huge loss if it was disintegrated. Fortunately, this did not happen. System number 2 became an invincible existence, and once the origin energy came, it was all absorbed into the system. Lin Fei's uneasy heart was finally at ease. Once the origin energy was absorbed by the system, it did not turn into an energy unit as Lin Fei had imagined, nor did it turn into a mysterious energy. Instead, there was another energy beside it, the origin energy unit. That works. Lin Fei was stunned and could not help but ask, then what's the use of this origin energy unit? The number of the origin energy unit was constantly increasing. The origin energy unit is very useful. The little devil explained, it's also Master's good luck. There are remnants of world fragments in this alternate space, and it has evolved into a space that can preserve the origin energy. With the origin energy unit, Master can create high-level puppets. As long as there's a suitable body, coupled with the origin energy, you can create a powerful existence that is comparable to a giant existence. That awesome. Lin Fei was very surprised. Then can the current sword and sword slaves be promoted? Lin Fei's mind turned quickly as he thought of his own subordinates. Chapter 2204. P.S. I couldn't write for a few days, so there was an accident. Everything's fine now. I'll start at 2 chapters today. The unexpected appearance of the origin energy unit surprised Lin Fei. An existence comparable to a giant powerhouse? How terrifying was that? Absorb the origin energy as much as you can. Lin Fei roared. Also, you must monitor the powerhouses outside. I don't want to be disturbed while the system is absorbing the origin energy unit. A new measurement unit system appeared on the system page. Compared to the previous mysterious energy unit, the origin energy unit's growth was not fast. Instead, it was very slow. Lin Fei was not greedy. The origin energy unit was a powerful existence. It was reasonable that it could not grow quickly in a short period of time. Not far from the origin tree, The majestic origin energy was being plundered by the system. Congratulations, player. You have received 1 origin energy unit. Congratulations, player. You have received 2 origin energy units. The increase of the origin energy unit was not as difficult as imagined. After the first unit appeared, the second unit appeared. Soon the third one appeared. While Lin Fei was paying attention to the increase of the origin energy unit, he was also paying attention to the mountain of God Emperor. Finally, someone is here. Time passed minute by minute. In the peaceful mountain of God Emperor, people gradually appeared. Most of them were from the 33 sacred heavens. They released a powerful aura. There were also some who were hiding in the void previously. As soon as these people appeared, they began to search frantically. Needless to say, they were looking for the origin tree. Due to the restriction of the origin energy in the mountain of God Emperor, the giant powerhouses could not come down for a while. Lin Fei did not act rashly. The inside of the sinkhole was shielded by the system's mysterious energy. To find this place, it would take some time. Now Lin Fei still had time. 1 hour, 2 hours, 4 hours. The time for the origin fruit to ripen was getting closer. Various forces in the mountain of God Emperor. They could not stay calm. What the hell? Why hasn't the origin fruit appeared yet? This doesn't make sense. Didn't the old ancestor say that the origin tree would appear? And that Tian, where is he hiding? I can't even find a trace of him. Everyone was very unhappy. They couldn't find him. The origin tree was nowhere to be seen. The forces that were able to come again had arranged for their elite disciples. Every one of them was an existence that had made a name for themselves in the 33 holy heavens, and there was no lack of seniors among them. Although they hadn't broken through to the giant realm yet, they were experts who were infinitely close to it. His explosive power was very strong. Even so, he was still unable to find the origin tree. If not for the old ancestor's warning, everyone would have suspected that they had come to the wrong place. Boom! Just when everyone was at a loss. The entire God Emperor mountain erupted with a terrifying aura that made one's heart palpitate. As soon as this aura appeared, it engulfed the entire space of the God Emperor mountain. No matter who it was, they all felt that they were minuscule and would die without a doubt in front of this destructive energy. This is origin energy. Now that the origin tree has appeared, the origin fruit will also appear. Everyone prepare for battle. Those who stand in our way are all enemies. Kill without mercy. All the forces in the God Emperor mountain were excited. Even though everyone's faces were pale, their eyes were filled with uncontrollable excitement. No one had the mood to care about Tian anymore. Right now, the origin fruit was the most important. It was related to whether or not a sect could survive in the future. In the center, the representatives of the various forces took out their sect's treasures and charged toward the center while withstanding the pressure of the origin energy. The first to turn into a ray of light was a giant skull. In the world of the 33 ascending heavens, one of the more famous and ruthless forces was known as the Ghoul sect. The Ghoul sect specialized in making all kinds of puppets. They also used all kinds of vicious cultivation techniques. In the world of the 33 sacred heavens, they were notorious. For example, right now they were activating a giant treasure. It was known as the Head of Death. It was made from the head of the Ghoul sect's god of death. It possessed terrifying power. Quick, quick! Inside the Head of Death was an independent space. Countless disciples were activating the Head of Death. The Head of Death was bursting with godly power. It withstood the power of the origin energy. As expected of the energy that everyone fought for back then, even through the Head of Death, I can still feel the terrifying power. The Ghoul sect elder, dressed in black, exclaimed, "The elder ancestor is right. We have experienced the terror of the origin energy before even seeing the tree of origin. No wonder the elder ancestor told us to be careful and not to be careless. It was indeed meaningful. A black giant, burly as the sky, stepped on the ground. With one step, it was not inferior to anyone's treasure. This was the puppet sky demon of the Sky Demon Palace. It was also a giant treasure. Elder, the tree of origin has appeared. Perhaps Dtion is already nearby. We have to be careful. The Sky Demon Rainbow was still dressed in black. Its veil danced, faintly discernible. Rainbow, since I'm here, it's not up to Dtion anymore. The Sky Demon Palace Elder, also dressed in black, radiated coldness. You bullied the people of the Sky Demon Palace. I will avenge you. The Sky Demon Rainbow looked into the distance. The enemies are coming. I wonder how you'll defend against them this time. The demonic rainbow was clearer than anyone else about the strength of the demonic palace elder in front of her. Even though she was not famous in the world of the 33 sacred heavens, only those who knew her would know how terrifying this elder was. He was a half-step giant. Moreover, for the sake of fighting for the origin fruit, there were more than 10 half-step giant powerhouses. The Sky Demon Rainbow could not think of how the conceited Dtion would deal with it. That Dtion guy is really unreliable. Another force activated a giant altar. The leader stood with his hands behind his back, looking into the distance. I wanted him to hold back the firepower of the others. At the very least, he should have exhausted a portion of their strength so that we can have a chance to attack. Now, he actually went missing. The leader of the Sky Demon Palace said, sinisterly, "We can only act according to the situation. No matter how bad it is, we have to get an origin fruit." This was naturally the people of the Curse Palace. They had inexplicably taken the blame. Whenever the people of the Curse Palace mentioned Dtion, they would be filled with anger. They wanted to make use of him, but they did not expect him to go missing. This made them even more unhappy. Everyone was eyeing the origin fruit covetously. Chapter 2205. It was getting closer and closer. Just as they were about to reach the crater, they once again felt the terrifying threat from the origin energy. Everyone was in a daze when they saw it. It was familiar. They had been to this crater a few times and had scanned it with their divine senses countless times, but they found nothing. Now that they felt the origin energy from the crater, they were no longer calm. It was different from what they had seen before. Logically speaking, it was illogical. It was hard to imagine that the bottom of the crater was related to the origin tree. Forces gathered around the crater. At this moment, no one dared to go down. Even if they had magnate treasures, they were fragile in front of the origin energy. There were also some small forces that were completely attracted by the origin tree and relied on their treasures to rush down. The result was obvious. After a few hundred people died, everyone suppressed their excitement. Wait, that was what everyone was thinking. As long as the origin energy weakened, they were confident that they could rush down and find the origin, tree, and fruit. For a moment, everyone was safe around the crater. No one would make a move at this moment. The origin energy weakened. The half-step magnate stared at it. As soon as the origin energy weakened, the half-step magnate immediately felt it. Go down! Hellgate's head of death turned into a black light and rushed down. Let's go too! Everyone reacted quickly and entered the crater one after another. Without a hegemon-level treasure in hand, he could only watch helplessly. The origin energy's powerful disintegration ability disintegrated everything. Only a hegemon-level treasure could resist it, maintaining the misfortune of not being disintegrated. Everyone went down faster and faster. The origin energy was also weakening. This isn't right. The black-robed elder from the Sky Demon Palace frowned. Even if the origin energy weakened, it wouldn't be this fragile. The Heavenly Devil Palace elder's face turned grave. The thin origin energy only had a slight effect on the Heavenly Devil puppet. It wasn't as terrifying as the old ancestor had warned. Elder, you're not worrying too much. Everyone knows how powerful the origin energy is. It should be normal for the origin energy to weaken. Even the smart sky demon Raymond didn't think that there would be a problem. I hope so. Soon. On the other side, Lin Fei was not far from the origin tree. It was only a few thousand feet away. The system was even more awesome than he had imagined. It kept devouring the origin energy. This was also Lin Fei's good luck. If one were to encounter someone who had yet to condense an origin fruit, it would be impossible for them to descend here. Now that the origin fruit had absorbed all of the origin energy from the origin tree, the pressure it released was not as strong as before. This gave Lin Fei an advantage, allowing him to plunder as much origin energy as he wanted. Master, your enemy is here, Imp reminded. At the same time, the image of the sinkhole appeared in Lin Fei's eyes. Good fellow. For the origin fruit, they sent out more than 20 half-step magnates. On the image, the stronger one the color would be different. Therefore, Lin Fei could see it clearly, especially the 20 or so dots. It would be strange if he couldn't see it. An old acquaintance is here, too. Lin Fei even saw a few old acquaintances. Master, absorb the remaining origin energy. You still need time, so you have to make a choice, Master. The little demoness reminded him again. Lin Fei narrowed his eyes. It's time. Let the slave army kill to their heart's content. No more hiding. Xiu. On the way to the bottom of the sinkhole. What's that sound? The disciples of the ghoul sect felt a great threat approaching. An inexplicable sound came from the front, causing their scalps to go numb. Bam, bam, bam. Before they could react, the Grim Reapers had encountered a dense barrage of attacks. They were all sword rays and saber rays that seemed to cover the entire sky. The tunnel was filled with enemies. The Grim Reaper's head was indeed a magnate-level treasure. It only shook slightly. It's D. Tion's men. The people of the ghoul sect shouted angrily. Now, in the entire 33 sacred heavens, everyone knew that D. Tion had a group of terrifying subordinates. They were all at the same cultivation level. Until now, they didn't know where D. Tion got them from. It was as if they appeared out of thin air. D. Tion had also become very mysterious. When they saw the densely packed army once again, the forces that had followed behind were all shocked. Without seeing it with their own eyes, they couldn't imagine how terrifying it would be. Open the defense! Everyone reacted. The advantage of the magnate-level treasure was displayed. The attacks of the Black Torrent only had a small effect on them. At the same time, everyone realized that D. Tion, who had been missing all this time, was at the end of the sinkhole tunnel. We still miscalculated. The elder of the Sky Devil Palace's eyes flashed. He should have been here for a long time. Puppet Sky Devil, attack! When D. Tion's men appeared, everyone was sure of one thing. D. Tion was inside. No one hesitated anymore. The half-step magnate personally controlled the magnate-level treasure and charged towards the Black Torrent army. The sinkhole tunnel wasn't very big. When Lin Fei's men appeared, they realized that something bad had happened. Someone had beaten them to it. They didn't expect it to be D. Tion. Everyone was enraged. When the half-step magnate used his strength, the magnate-level treasure in his hands exploded with infinite power. The sword and saber slaves that Lin Fei had arranged to guard the tunnel were immediately injured. Luckily, it wasn't a large area. Lin Fei had been paying attention to the battle in the tunnel. As expected of the half-step magnate, only they can use half of the magnate-level treasure's power. Lin Fei had already expected the casualties. We can't let them continue. Lin Fei didn't want all his men to be killed. I have to give you another gift. Lin Fei chuckled. Spellmasters, attack! At the end of the tunnel, a group of black shadows appeared. Their faces couldn't be seen, but they all looked serious. Spell, paralyze. Spell, corrode. Spell, weaken. This was the first time Lin Fei had shown his ability as a spell master. In the tunnel, the disciples of the Ghoul sect were clapping and cheering. Elder is mighty! Elder is mighty! The half-step magnate elder of the Ghoul sect was called Gue Jianqiu. His face was cold and gloomy, and a cold wind blew from time to time. No one dared to approach him. So what if there are many of them? I will kill them all eventually, Gue Jianqiu said coldly. Ah! Suddenly, a scream came from behind him. Elder, save me! The disciple closest to him was a combat emperor. However, his flesh and blood had turned into a pool of blood and kept falling from his body. The surrounding was filled with a pungent, rotten smell. He kept screaming. Not good. Di Tian has made his move. Gue Jianqiu had also heard that Di Tian knew spells. He subconsciously thought that it was him. What's going on? I feel weak. I need to rest. I'm dying of pain. Someone save me. In less than a few breaths, all the disciples were attacked by spells. Chapter 2206. When the curse came, everyone was dumbfounded. The Ghoul sect, who was charging at the front, was caught off guard on the spot, causing heavy casualties among their disciples. In front of the terrifying curse, the disciples of the Ghoul sect had no ability to resist. Even if it was the War Emperor realm, facing the untraceable curse, the result would be the same. It's a curse. Help. I don't want to die. The moment the curse was unleashed, the sinkhole passageway immediately turned into hell. No matter who it was, even if they took out their treasures, it would be difficult for them to resist the invasion of the curse. Only the half-step giants could barely resist the invasion of the curse. Awesome. Lin Fei laughed proudly. The strengthened curse had become even sharper and more terrifying than before, and at the same time, it was even harder to find traces of it. The Curse Mage army is truly invincible. Lin Fei knew that once the Curse Mage appeared, they would definitely be able to suppress the scene. However, it was even more terrifying than he had imagined. Saber Slave and Sword Slave, move out! Lin Fei gave the order again. Kill! Killing intent gathered, shaking the heavens and earth. With the help of the Curse Mage, the Saber Slave and Sword Slave had the upper hand. The giant treasures could only unleash 70% to 80% of their power in the hands of the half-step giants. At the same time, they needed the help of the disciples. Now that the disciples of the various forces had suffered heavy casualties, the power of the giant treasures had plummeted, and it was difficult for them to suppress Lin Fei's men. The blade intent and sword intent wantonly roared, interweaving into an inescapable net. For a time, the various forces were unable to move forward. Seeing the disciples and geniuses that they brought fall to the curse one after another, the leading elder's face was filled with malevolence. At the same time, there was a trace of fear. Di Tian, this old man will tear you into pieces. The disciples of the Ghost sect suffered the heaviest casualties. Almost none of them were left standing, as they were all killed by the curse. The treasure space was littered with corpses, and the smell of blood filled the air. As a large sect, when had the Ghost sect ever suffered heavy casualties in front of their enemies? At this moment, his face was ashen and sinister. He continuously activated his heaven's mandate energy, forming layers of defense around his body. Do you like my gift? Ha ha ha. In the passage, Lin Fei's wanton laughter echoed, like everyone was about to vomit blood. Who would like this gift? This was a slap in the face. The densely packed saber slaves and sword slaves, as well as the incantation experts among them, caused the various forces in the tunnel to be unable to remain calm. They continuously activated their treasures to defend against the incantation attacks. No one had expected such a situation. Curse Palace? How do you explain that? Some of the experts in the lead looked at the people from the Curse Palace in the distance. They also kept retreating. They really couldn't block the densely packed curse techniques. This has nothing to do with our cursed palace. The one who came from the cursed palace was also a half-step giant. His name was Shuryen. His previously high-spirited face was now filled with confusion. How can there be such a powerful curse technique? Its power is even greater than their cursed palaces. This is impossible. The moment the curse appeared, Shuryen sensed a familiar aura. He could smell it even with his eyes closed. After a moment of confusion, he saw that his forces had suffered heavy casualties and that the people of the cursed palace were unscathed. Shuryen's expression became even more unsightly. It's over. We've been tricked by Tian. Hence, the words that he blurted out earlier came out. No one believed him now. Nothing to do with it? What kind of joke was this? It was clearly the cursed technique of the cursed palace. Were they all blind and couldn't tell? This wasn't a cursed technique. What was it? Retreat. The saber slaves and sword slaves charged forward. Even the half-step giants could only activate their hegemon-level treasures to cover their disciples' retreat. If they didn't leave now, they would really be wiped out. Almost at the same time, everyone chose to retreat. Fight? How could they fight? They couldn't even block the elusive curse techniques. Even the half-step giants felt their scalps go numb when they saw the densely packed curse techniques. Some of them were high-level curse techniques. Who could endure this kind of concentrated attack? I didn't expect Tian to still have a trick up his sleeve. We're all doomed. The saber slaves and sword slaves are already difficult to deal with. With the help of the curse techniques, they're like tigers that have grown wings. If we go up, we'll just be sending ourselves to death. How many unknown secrets are there behind Tian? The half-step giants suffered a huge blow. Even though they were half-step giants, after seeing the help of the curse techniques, they no longer had the thought of suppressing Tian. With such a terrifying group of subordinates, they would probably be killed by Tian even if they wanted to charge in. When they entered, everyone rushed forward one after another, afraid to fall behind. It was the same when they retreated. Everyone wished their parents had given them more legs. They threw all kinds of treasures at Tian, wanting to leave this damned place as soon as possible. The calm sky prides also lost the thought of fighting. Tian, a native of the sealed world, had turned into a tall mountain in their eyes. He was an existence that they had to look up to. Fight? Why should they fight? When the cursed technique army moved out, the giants who had been paying attention were completely moved. Because of the barbaric world fragment, they couldn't enter the space of Mount God Emperor. However, this didn't mean that they couldn't pay attention. Their powerful divine senses still enveloped the space of Mount God Emperor. Cursed techniques. They're even more mysterious than the cursed techniques of the Cursed Palace. Tian actually had another trick up his sleeve. Why does he have a group of cursed technique subordinates? Damn the Cursed Palace. These giants thought of the Cursed Palace. Other than the Cursed Palace, who else could support Tian's troops? Originally, everyone was unhappy that the Cursed Palace was related to Tian. They didn't expect the Cursed Palace to arrange for people to be in the space of Mount God Emperor at such a crucial moment. No one dared to underestimate the power of curse techniques. An army of curse technique experts that could use high-level curse techniques. To Tian, this was like adding wings to a tiger. Initially, the half-step giants were still a deterrent. However, with the appearance of the curse technique army, the half-step giants' usefulness became negligible. It was already good enough for them to be alive. Cursed Palace. All the giants hated the Cursed Palace to the core. They saw the scene in the passage clearly. With the help of the Cursed Technique army, their troops lost their ability to fight. They were being chopped up like vegetables. It was a naked / one-sided slaughter. Since when did the combat emperors and half-step giants become stray dogs? Now they were really stray dogs. Cursed Palace. It's over. We're dead this time. Chu Wuhuan, the palace lord, was also paying attention to the entire situation. When he saw the appearance of the Curse Technique army, Chu Wuhuan's face turned as black as coal. His body was trembling slightly. This black pot was too big, especially when they saw that the people of the Curse Palace were fine. Everyone's anger seemed to be stabbing into their hearts. Chu Wuhuan could already imagine that the giants of the 33 Sage Heavens hated him to the core. No matter how he tried to explain, it would be useless. Chapter 2207. Continue to kill. Kill until nothing is left. Lin Fei did not care what the higher-ups thought. He would kill to his heart's content first. As for the Curse Palace's men, Lin Fei had specially arranged for them. No matter what, the Curse Palace would definitely suffer. At the very least, it would attract some firepower for him. Lin Fei did not believe that the magnates would not hold a grudge against the Curse Palace. Those were genuine curse techniques. They were not low-level curse techniques, but mid-level and high-level curse techniques. Only the direct disciples of the Curse Palace and above could cultivate them. In the Sinkhole Passage, the Saber Slaves and Sword Slaves occupied the passage, and the Curse Sorcerers supported them from the rear. The end of the passage had almost become a fortress. Unless the magnates made a move, those half-step magnates would not be able to enter. If it were not for the magnates' treasures, Lin Fei would not mind leaving a few half-step magnates behind. They were good targets for modification. But now, it was better to absorb all the origin energy first. This is too terrifying. We are finally safe. They did not catch up. After exiting the Sinkhole Passage, the remaining forces heaved a huge sigh of relief. The pitch-black entrance to the sinkhole had become the entrance to hell in their eyes. They had never thought that they would suffer a crushing defeat. After being affected by the curse techniques, they saw their good friends, deacons and others being swarmed by the saber slaves and sword slaves and dismembered into pieces. They did not want to recall that scene a second time. Some of the half-step magnates had been affected by the curse techniques and were only suppressing it with treasures and powerful strength. One could imagine how terrifying those people were. After confirming that there was no danger, the half-step magnates did not leave. Instead, they stopped near the sinkhole and took out their voice transmission treasures to report the news. This was not something they could deal with. A few half-step magnates were careless and were affected by the curse techniques. It was a tragic sight. They did not have the guts to enter now. This is too tragic. The demonic rainbow could not believe it either. In a short time, more than 70% of the Sky Devil Palace's disciples had died. Among them were elite disciples and some geniuses. In the face of powerful curse techniques, whether they were elite disciples or geniuses, they became extremely vulnerable. We have all died. We were all defeated. Who would have thought that Ditian would be so capable? The Heavenly Devil Palace's half-step powerhouse side. First, help them suppress the curse. That's the most important thing. For the time being, only a half-step giant could suppress a War Emperor Rancor who was cursed. He knew that this was a strategy. The half-step giants had no choice but to do so. Ditian. A furious roar rang out. This voice was filled with endless hatred, and it turned into endless killing intent as it attacked. A mere divine sense dares to act violently in front of me. Lin Fei laughed and pointed at the void. Curse, Great Slicer. An arc of light flashed past like a full moon. Great Slicer? You know it too. A bottomless crack was left in the void. Chu Wuhuan appeared on the other side of the crack, glaring at Ditian. The Curse Palace was in deep trouble because of Ditian. Regardless of the danger, Zhou Wuhuan went to the mortal world in person to figure out what was going on. It's just a mere curse. Why wouldn't I know it? Lin Fei laughed. If it wasn't for your Curse Palace's inherited curse, I wouldn't mind killing all the people of your Curse Palace just now. Fortunately, it's the Curse Palace's inherited curse. Zhou Wuhuan's heart sank. Di Tian, you're talking nonsense. You stole the curse from our curse palace and deliberately framed us. You have the nerve to say it out loud. Being able to become a palace master, how could Zhou Wuhuan not understand the meaning behind his words? If he admitted it, he wouldn't be able to wash himself clean even if he jumped into the Yellow River. Moreover, the people above must be paying attention to this place. The ability of a giant powerhouse wasn't that simple. Lin Fei laughed even more happily. He shook his head slightly. Wrong. I really feel sad for you. After so many years, the curse is in your hands. There's no light, and you still have the nerve to say that it's an inherited curse. I will let you see what a real curse is. Lin Fei's aura suddenly changed. Curse numb. Curse, great prophecy. He pointed at Zhou Wuhuan's divine sense phantom. The disapproval in Zhou Wuhuan's heart disappeared without a trace. An inexplicable crisis from the bottom of his heart shocked him. It's moving. Damn it. With a bang, Zhou Wuhuan's divine sense vanished into thin air. You can't even block my curse, and you still have the nerve to question me. Lin Fei stood with his hands behind his back, looking up at the sky. Using the origin energy to cast a curse, the power is really amazing. Just now, Lin Fei tried to cast a curse with the origin energy. The result was like this. Preposterous. In the secret chamber of the curse palace, Zhou Wuhuan opened his eyes, and blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. He roared, Palace Master, how is it? Has Di Tian, that little bastard, been subdued? In the secret chamber, the giants were all present. Zhou Wuhuan's roar was ignored by the giants, which made Zhou Wuhuan feel very aggrieved. Can't they see that I'm bleeding? I wasn't able to kill Di Tian. Instead, he used a curse to kill my divine sense clone. Zhou Wuhuan was indeed worthy of being the palace master. He briefly explained what happened next. Palace Master, is there a mistake? Our curse has been passed down for a long time. Is Di Tian's curse stronger than ours? That shouldn't be the case. The curse of our curse palace is the real curse. The others couldn't remain calm anymore. This matter was too serious. Although the divine sense clone wasn't much, 2 curses had killed the divine sense clone. One could imagine the power of the curse. Perhaps Di Tian has mastered an even more advanced and profound curse technique. Suddenly a giant said. Everyone fell silent. Zhou Wuhuan's divine sense clone was killed just like that? A paralysis curse and a great prophecy curse. How could they be so terrifying? Could it be that Di Tian is the reincarnation of the old antique of the Curse Palace? Only the reincarnation of the old antique can cast a curse of this level. The holy sovereigns who were watching couldn't remain calm anymore. A divine sense clone, and it was at the level of a giant. Even Di Tian, who is a 10-star battle emperor, wouldn't be able to kill it so easily. Therefore, the fact that Di Tian could kill Zhou Wuhuan's divine sense clone so easily, and he didn't even have time to make a move. It could only mean that Di Tian had a more terrifying curse. This wasn't good news. If possible, they really didn't want to see such a situation. This had added unforeseen trouble to them, and it wasn't a small one. Di Tian has become a thorn in everyone's heart. As long as he and his people are here, we won't be able to get the origin fruit. In my opinion, this man must be killed immediately. A giant suggested. I agreed to kill Di Tian. Di Tian has become a tall mountain in the God Emperor Mountain. He must be removed. The giants soon had different opinions. Chapter 2208. Inside the mountain of God Emperor, the aura of the origin tree was gradually weakening. The ripening of the origin fruit was also delayed. This was naturally Lin Fei's doing. This was especially so after the curse had shown its might. The origin tree and the origin fruit on it had long since become Lin Fei's possession. He was just short of saying something domineering, This place is mine. In fact, Lin Fei had already taken over this place. After destroying the Curse Palace's divine sense avatar, I believe those people won't be so stupid to come again. Lin Fei wanted to give them a show of strength. If a tiger doesn't show its strength, they would really think that I'm a sick cat. Master, be careful, there's an expert attacking you. Without warning, the little devil warned Lin Fei. Lin Fei's brows twitched, and a chill descended from the sky. Above the crater, a huge black finger suddenly appeared in front of Lin Fei. Lin Fei, who had a strong physical body, instantly felt like his body could not withstand it and was about to explode. This is definitely the attack of a magnate-level expert. Lin Fei was not flustered. Cowardly scoundrel, how shameless. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Space solidified in front of the black finger. Ha ha ha, Ditian, you've been tricked. A complacent voice came from behind Lin Fei. A dark green palm slammed into Lin Fei's back. You've been struck by this old man's nether ghost palm. You're dead for sure. Boom! Lin Fei's entire body exploded. I thought you had some ability, but it turns out that you're only SOSO. We've overestimated you. The black-robed old man said disdainfully. We've made a mountain out of a molehill. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. A few figures appeared near the origin tree. Their eyes quickly fell on the origin tree, and a hint of joy flashed across their faces. Fortunately, the origin fruit is still here. That bastard Ditian did not take it. These figures were all the divine sense avatars of the magnate. Their battle prowess was infinitely close to the level of a magnate. Even a half-step magnate would not be a match for them. They hadn't expected that they would be able to kill Ditian so easily with just a diversion. It seemed to be too smooth. According to what they thought, Ditian's origins were mysterious, and he definitely had some trump cards on him. They had already made their mental preparations. Creating a diversion was merely one of them. Ditian is dead. He was killed by the great leader of the Ghoul sect. Great. That bastard Ditian has finally been killed. Ditian is nothing in front of a giant powerhouse. Why does he have to think that he's invincible? Outside the sinkhole, the remaining forces received the news. Ditian, who had been showing off his abilities, had been killed. Not even his bones were left. Hearing this news, everyone smiled, and their faces were no longer as pale and powerless as before. Killed? After the heavenly devil Nikhang heard this, a puzzled expression flashed across her exquisite facial features. After not knowing much about Ditian, the heavenly demon Rainbow finally had a feeling that Ditian would not be so easy to kill. The heavenly devil Raymond was very confident in her feelings and rarely doubted them. This was a kind of intuition that belonged to experts. Elder, I think we should not go in for the time being. The heavenly devil Rainbow reminded. The elder of the heavenly devil palace did not understand. Why? Elder, think about it. Ditian has always been mysterious. Can such a person be killed so easily? The process is too smooth. It seems like it's really smooth. In the world of the 33 saintly heavens, the various giants were also paying attention. Even though there were some giants who shamelessly attacked, there were also some who chose to wait and see. Ditian was killed by the great leader of the Ghoul sect. This made everyone very surprised. That extremely powerful Ditian was killed just like that? He did not even struggle. If that was the case, they would have done it themselves. Now they had been taken advantage of by the great leader of the Ghoul sect. They killed Ditian first, even though this was not a glorious thing. And in the eyes of outsiders, there would always be suspicions of the strong bullying the weak. However, Ditian's secret, many people wanted to find out. For example, the rapid increase in battle strength. If this was a technique, then it could not be better. If they obtained it, it was equivalent to grasping a shortcut to quickly increase their strength. To the forces in the world of the 33 saintly heavens, this was definitely something that could not be ignored. Also, How did Tian get such a group of powerful subordinates? Among them, the most important was the strong curse experts in their hands. They were definitely existences that could not be estimated. It was hard not to be afraid of them. Whoever obtained Tian's secret first would definitely expand their strength to an unimaginable level. The sword and knife techniques of the 10,000 Swords Villa and the Godly Knife sect were nothing. But curse techniques were different. Until now, curse techniques were still considered top-notch techniques in the world of the 33 saintly heavens. He died just like that? Curse Palace. Chu Wuhuan roared again. That detestable guy who killed him before was killed in 2 or 3 moves. What kind of joke was this? Could it be that Tian, that bastard, can only use curse techniques of this level twice? Chu Wuhuan could not understand. If I had known this would happen, I would have held on for a while longer. Wouldn't the treasures on that bastard Tian belong to me? Thinking of the opportunity he had lost, Chu Wuhuan's face turned even darker. What a huge loss! Old ghost, you killed Tian. Shouldn't you let everyone see the secret in Tian's storage ring? Don't think that the giants did not have privacy. That would be a big mistake. In the eyes of the giants, Tian was like a child hugging a gold ingot. Every part of his body was a treasure. After confirming that Tian was really dead, the other giants turned their attention to giant Guizhu. They wanted to broaden their horizons. Guizhu was expressionless. He cursed everyone for being shameless in his heart. Then he realized one thing. From the beginning to the end, it seemed like he had not seen a storage ring. In fact, he had not seen anything on Tian's body. Then where did those things go? Guizhu was very confident that his netherworld divine palm had indeed landed on Tian's body. But now the problem was, where did those things go? Guizhu, you have already killed Tian. Why aren't you willing to share Tian's things? Could it be that you want to keep those things to yourself? Seeing that Guizhu was silent, the giants were unhappy. You are going to keep everything to yourself. Too shameless. Back then, we agreed that after killing Tian, those things would definitely be shared. Now that Tian is dead, you don't want to share those things anymore? How can there be such a good thing in this world? Guizhu wanted to curse. Now he had nothing in his hands. What could he take out? This old man feels that everyone has overlooked one thing. Perhaps Tian is not dead at all. Instead, he is hiding nearby and watching the show, forcing us to fight among ourselves. Guizhu said with a solemn expression. I knew that you, old ghost, would not be honest. Tian was killed by you. Everyone saw it with their own eyes. Naturally, the things are in your hands. As long as we share those things, no one will have any objections. Chapter 2209. The origin fruit had yet to ripen. Everyone's attention was attracted by the secret that Tian had left behind. Regardless of whether it was the people who controlled the spells or the spells that came from the same era, they were all existences that would make people envious. As long as he could obtain even one of them, his power would definitely reach a whole new level. With such an opportunity in front of them, even a fool would be willing to miss it. Even if one was a giant, the divine sense avatars present were all giant powerhouses. Guizhu, are you going to hand it over or not? Our patience is limited. You alone can't stop all of us. Guizhu felt very sullen. It seemed that he had stepped into a huge pit, and he couldn't explain it clearly now. No matter how Guizhu explained, he could not come up with any convincing evidence. Everyone thought that Guizhu wanted to enjoy the fruits of his labor alone and did not want to share the treasures. Do it! A terrifying aura soared into the sky, and the surrounding void was shattered. The powerhouses had made their move. He attacked the leader of the absolute ghost faction. Listen to this old man's explanation. I really don't have what you want. This is a trap that Tian intentionally left behind to make us kill each other. Guizhu continued to explain. What awaited Guizhu was a merciless siege. How could a giant fight against the siege of a group of people? Moreover, everyone was a spiritual consciousness avatar, and their strength was almost on the same level. Guo-Ju retreated step by step. 2 fists are hard, many enemies are hard. Hit him hard. In the void, Lin Fei swaggered, looking at the giant's divine sense, doppelgangers, surrounding the ghoul sex giant. He was laughing in his heart. From the moment they arrived, Lin Fei knew everything through the little devil's reminder. Absolute, ghosts, ambush, and diversion could not escape the system's monitoring. The spiritual sense giant avatar's combat power was very strong, but Lin Fei didn't think much of it. Thus, a bright idea came to him, and he thought of a way to have them kill each other first. They consumed each other's energy. Lin Fei was very happy to see this happen. What Guo-Ju had killed was merely an afterimage left behind by Lin Fei. It was extremely realistic. Even the naked eye could not tell if it was real or fake. Of course, this naturally came from the system. The battles between giants weren't that long. Instead, they were very short. Guo-Ju was the first to be killed. It was just a doppelganger formed by divine sense. So what if it was killed? If everyone attacked together, even if Guo-Ju had any ideas, he would have to start a war with a group of big shots. They did not think that Guo-Ju had the courage to start a war. Therefore, Guo-Ju would definitely suffer this loss. You will regret this. Absolute ghost divine sense was destroyed, and he was extremely angry. At the same time, his hatred towards Di Tian increased. He now had reason to believe that Di Tian was hiding nearby. Well, that must be it. With his spiritual consciousness damaged, Guo-Ju did not dare to send his spiritual consciousness avatar again. There's nothing. The powerhouses were fighting for the treasures. Once Guo-Ju's spiritual consciousness was destroyed, everyone wanted to see if there were any secrets within the storage ring left behind by Di Tian. The scene in front of them left them dumbfounded. Nothing appeared. That didn't seem possible. After all, the absolute ghost giant had killed Di Tian first. Logically speaking, Di Tian's treasures should have fallen into the absolute ghost giant's hands. This was something that did not need to be considered. Where did it go? All the magnates frowned, and their faces darkened. If it wasn't on the absolute ghost giant, then what belonged to Di Tian was there? Could it be? A thought flashed across their minds. Pa. Just as everyone was about to shake off that thought, applause followed. It landed on the hearts of the magnates, very rhythmically. It's quite an interesting scene. This emperor's eyes have been opened. On the origin tree far away, Lin Fei stood with his hands behind his back, looking over with a smile. Di Tian, you actually didn't die? We were tricked. In a world within the 33 sacred heavens, in the sinister ghost gate, the absolute ghost giant slammed the table and stood up, gritting his teeth. A bunch of idiots. You know that you were tricked. No, I have to make another trip. A bitter smile flashed across the faces of the magnates. They had lived for so long, and they actually suffered a loss to a junior. They had put on a show, and if word got out, they would be laughed at to death. All the magnates stared at him in anger. They had been tricked by a kid. Di Tian, go and die for me. One of the giants could not hold it in any longer. He took out a treasure that was like a scorching sun, emitting a scorching aura. The surrounding temperature was rising, and black holes were being burned in the air. Lai Gang, it's time. The scorching sun treasure headed straight for Lin Fei's head. Lin Fei shook his head. What a waste of a treasure! Crash! As soon as the treasure entered the vicinity of the origin tree, the origin energy unleashed its might, and the treasure disintegrated into nothing. This giant Lai Gang's clone was also pierced through by a ray of origin energy and disappeared without a trace on the spot. Could it be that he can use the origin energy? The rest of the great leaders were completely shocked. That was the origin energy, just now. Only the origin energy could be so tyrannical, instantly destroying treasures and even killing the avatar of divine sense. Impossible. The origin energy is the most sacred energy in the world. He is only at the War Emperor realm. How can he control it? All the giants shook their heads. This matter was simply unimaginable. The origin fruit is about to mature. You can leave now. I don't like you. Chase us away? Aren't you too naive, Dition? All of the great leaders had the same thought. It was truly absurd. Lin Fei's aura was like a mountain. He swept a glance with his cold eyes, raised his hand, and released a curse. Curse technique, Fire Beacon City. The curse fire that filled the sky descended onto the bodies of the great leaders. In an instant, all of the great leaders turned into flaming men. Without any sound, the great leaders all disappeared into thin air. One move kill. Lin Fei raised his head, his gaze like lightning, shooting into the distance. This is my territory. Whoever comes will be killed. A terrifying voice resounded throughout the entire mountain of God Emperor. Everyone could see that outside of the mountain of God Emperor's space passage, the endless curse fire was burning wantonly. All the experts that were enveloped by the curse fire were all turned into green smoke. A true instant kill. They even saw a great leader's clone descend and be killed by the curse fire. This unlucky fellow was the great leader of the ghost sect. Coincidentally, he was killed on the spot by the curse fire without any ability to resist. The great leaders of the 33 sacred heavens world were all stunned. The power of the curse fire is too tyrannical. What is this? What is it that is being killed? All the great leaders saw it clearly. The endless curse fire had reached the level of a great leader, and at the same time, it was the most difficult flame to resist. Thus, everyone had a headache. Then, everyone saw the sky full of curse fire explode from the sky crater, covering the entire passage, causing everyone's scalp to go numb. Chapter 2210. The blazing, cursed fire became a roadblock. Everyone was helpless against the curse fire that covered the entire sky crater. The forces that were originally near the sky crater were suddenly caught off guard and were burned to ashes by the curse fire. The scene was a tragic sight. No matter who saw it, they would feel fear in their hearts. The curse fire of the cursed Tao era was not something they could resist. Too terrifying. The War Emperor experts are actually unable to block the attack of the Emperorian curse fire. Fortunately, I was quite far away. This Dition is too terrifying. The faces of the people who were lucky enough to escape were filled with fear. It was the same for the elite disciples. They had never seen such a large-scale curse fire appear before. Kill, without waiting for them to calm down. A sonorous and powerful roar that carried a sense of danger soared into the sky. The sword slave and blade slave moved out. The moment they appeared, their tactics were unleashed. Like a black torrent, they surrounded everyone, forming a huge encirclement. A saber slave with a long saber on his back took a step forward. He faced the crowd and said coldly, His Majesty Dition said that if you don't want to die here, then surrender immediately. Those who resist will be killed without mercy. His voice was not loud, but everyone present could hear it clearly. I didn't expect that we would be surrounded again. The demonic rainbow laughed bitterly. If you want us to surrender, you people don't have the qualifications to say that. Let's go. Among the forces present, there was a half-step giant who was the leader. He sneered and activated the giant treasure in his hand, preparing to leave the mountain of God Emperor. Although this half-step giant did not see the movements in the sky crater, he could instinctively sense it. If they did not leave now, when would they? Open. The giant treasure was activated. It blasted open a path. This was also the confidence of a half-step giant. The rest of the people watched quietly. After all, they had witnessed Dition's power. Before they confirmed the situation, they would not act recklessly. Curse technique, numb. Curse technique, weaken. Curse technique, gravity enhancement. Previously, this half-step giant had gone to the sky crater. He had seen the power of the Curse Legion. At that time, the position was narrow and his hands and feet were tied, unable to unleash his full strength. But it was different outside. Dtion didn't believe that Dtion would be able to keep them here with a magnate-level treasure in his hands. The sky was filled with curses, all of them attacking the half-step giants. Even though the magnate-grade treasures blocked some of them still landed on the half-step giants. As soon as the curse landed on the other party's body, the effect was immediately activated. The half-step magnate's speed slowed down, and his mind began to be affected. The magnate's treasure also began to show flaws. The saber slave and the sword slave didn't have to pay a huge price to break through the defense of the magnate-grade artifact. They charged in from the outside, and the battle emperors fell one after another, turning into corpses. In less than a short period of time, after killing over 100 sword slaves and saber slaves, this half-step powerhouse let out a shrill cry as he was chopped into pieces by the flurry of blades. A half-step giant had fallen. Ants can really bite elephants to death. With the death of the half-step giant, the rest of the half-step giants shuddered. Those who don't surrender will be like them. The siege outside was naturally ordered by Lin Fei. As soon as the curse fire was unleashed, the divine sense clones of the giants were instantly killed. Fierce. With the death of the giant's divine sense clone, Lin Fei obtained a lot of energy. This time, no one can stop me from taking the origin tree and origin fruit. Lin Fei laughed loudly. The attack of the curse fire had been imbued with origin energy, and its power was extraordinary. Anyone who came would be hit. The entire world of the 33 sacred heavens, all the sacred lords, and the other experts who were paying attention fell into silence, no matter if it was a giant or not. Or perhaps the sacred lords had realized one thing. Under the restriction of the savage world fragment, they were unable to obtain the origin fruit. The terrifying and irresistible curse fire had instantly killed their divine sense clones. During this time, they didn't even last a breath. Dtion's terror had risen to a rare level in their hearts. This time, everyone is going to return disappointed. Who would have thought that there would be a local snake down there? Even dragons and snakes have to lie down obediently. Deal with him? Who is going to deal with him? Luckily, I didn't go down. Dtion is indeed not easy to deal with. A big move. This is definitely a big move. Palace Master, this curse fire is too terrifying. The powerhouses of the Curse Palace were all paying attention to what was happening at Mountain God Emperor. The moment the curse fire appeared, all the powerhouses instinctively stood up and stared at the burning curse fire. I dare to say that this curse fire is completely above our curse fire. Dtion has grasped this curse fire. Even if the divine sense clones of the powerhouses go down, they will just be food for Dtion. No one can block this curse fire. Palace Master, we must obtain the curse fire in Dtion's hands. Even a single curse fire can greatly increase the overall strength of our curse palace. At that time, no one will dare to look down on our curse palace, especially the curse fire. If we use such a high-level curse fire, even the powerhouses will have to retreat. Everyone will be afraid of us. The powerhouses' thoughts became more and more complicated. Those who could become powerhouses quickly understood that unless Dtion came to the world of the 33 sacred heavens, no one would be able to suppress him. Since that was the case, they might as well take another path. After all, their curse palace had inherited curse arts. Dtion also had curse arts of unknown origin. The level of curse arts was obviously stronger than their curse palace. It shouldn't be difficult to communicate with Dtion. Curse Wu Huan laughed bitterly in his heart. I didn't expect the situation to change in such a short time. Dtion put on such a big show. I'm afraid everyone will have to change their method now. In the face of benefits, losing a small portion of the divine sense clone was nothing. Everyone's thoughts are similar. There's no time to lose. We must discuss this with Dition as soon as possible. In my opinion, why don't we let the eldest young master go down? In the world of the 33 sacred heavens, everyone had the same idea. If they couldn't use force, then they could change their method. For example, they could buy the origin fruit from Dition. Losing a portion of the divine sense clone was insignificant to the powerhouses. If they lost it one after another, the loss would be huge. Just the recovery of the divine sense would take a long time. Another method became urgent. This was equivalent to lowering their heads. They knew that this wasn't a good thing. They couldn't find a way to block the curse fire. Especially since their main bodies couldn't go down personally, there was nothing they could do. Before they could make any arrangements, the powerhouses that they had arranged sent back news. Their people had been captured again. At the same time, there was a list of ransomed items. The powerhouses flew into a rage. Then they became dejected.